Hey, how's everyone doing? Welcome. It's the RambleCast. So, Corbin will be joining us shortly, but he is not here yet. So, I have my scene change ready for when he appears. And, yeah, I figured let's get started. Damn it, I've got a freaking little fly in here. Of course. When is there not a fly in this room? I swear, it is the thing. Anyway, Corbin will be joining us. We have not technically discussed what we're going to talk about, but you know, it's been like a no news kind of week. Nothing has happened at all, not even a little bit. But hey, anyway, we'll think of things to say. Just a couple. Oh, hey. Speak of the devilish one himself.
Hello.
Corbin is live.
It me.
It's you. Perfect timing, Austin. Let's talk trash about Corbin.
Wow. How dare you?
See, this is what happens when you leave the safety of your server. Which is, yeah.
It's totally different.
It's funny because yikes. Anyway, hey, Corbin gets bullied wherever he goes.
It's true.
It's just like high school, but you get worse grades here.
So while I'm on this, I'm gonna see if I can snag a grooming appointment for Daisy before I go on another trip.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
It's taking me a little bit longer than I thought it would because I had to try to guess a breed that looked like Daisy because PetSmart doesn't have an other option on their website. Which is very weird considering, like, I think most of the dogs that people have as pets are mixes, but whatever. Yeah, because I don't really know what Daisy is. She's just a Daisy.
Let's be honest. Most people don't know what breed their dog is. Yeah. They just look at pictures on the internet and kind of go, looks like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I did. I don't know if I'm right because she's also got she's like a black and brown dog on the outside, but then she's got like a white undercoat. So I don't even think she knows what she is, but it's fine.
Fun fact. Dogs definitely do not know what breeds they are.
Yeah, they're just like, hello, I'm dog.
Nice. Well, I think most dogs have no concept of breed in general, with one exception. Chihuahuas. I'm convinced they have a concept of breed, except they very specifically insist they are not Chihuahuas. Yeah. They are any kind of dog that is not a Chihuahua.
The level of I don't know what the right word is, but like it's like tiny dog syndrome is like what it's called. Where like all the tiny dogs think they're all big and strong.
Yep. Chihuahuas are absolutely convinced of their superiority. So every Chihuahua believes it is a bulldog, a Doberman Pinscher, whatever. I think a few of them probably believe they're greyhounds. Some of them, well, okay. A few of them are convinced they're poodles. But, you know, they are any version of dog that is not a Chihuahua.
Yeah. Austin said Google Lens. Yeah, I've done like those apps that have like a big library of dog photos and they try to guess what you have with AI. The problem is Daisy is like a mid-sized dog with mostly black, but like brown on like a little bit of her face and paws and stuff, which is like 100 different breeds. Fits that definition. So like Google Photos can't even really tell the difference between her and other photos I've taken of brown dogs. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like Google Photos is good at some picking, like, you know, it's kind of like if you're wandering through the forest and you see mushrooms, if you use Google Lens, it's gonna narrow it down to like 1 out of 15 types of mushrooms.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you're just. Do you want to eat this mushroom?
Yeah.
You probably should not trust Google Lens for this information.
I am still amazed at how good Google Photos is like at identifying like different kinds of animals. Like I can just search for like it gets my searches right when I search for like goats or like these other animals that because there's a lot of animals that kind of like look the same from a distance and would be difficult for an AI to tell apart unless it had a lot of samples of something. So
yeah,
I'm always amazed at that. Like it can Google Photos definitely can tell the difference in my photos between Daisy and the German Shepherd I had when I was younger. But it can't. But it really struggles to tell the difference between Daisy and Pixie, which is now my mom's dog, who's like half the size but kind of the same color. It can't. There's no sense of scale. But again, like I'm amazed it can do that anyway.
Yeah.
Still not paying for Google Photos though. As cool as it is.
Oh god, I just noticed something else from the iPhone event that I didn't see before. And
This
actually,
something interesting.
Well, not in so much as it should be. It's more just the why the hell sort of thing, but we'll get to that.
I just read articles and stuff about the events after the fact. I didn't watch it live because I was busy doing other work stuff.
Yeah, so I must also confess I am writing an editorial about the event, but last night I got basically nothing or very little of it done, and I just, for numerous reasons. Some of it my fault, some of it just the general. Sometimes you just can't seem to make the words happen correctly, and you spend way too much time on a single paragraph, and it is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, that won't be happening today. It'll come out tomorrow. But yeah, so let's see. Okay, just quickly skimming through comments, making sure I didn't miss anything. Austin did ask, what kind of dog would an iPhone 13 be? So I don't have a specific breed in mind, but I will say I think every iPhone after like basically probably starting with the iPhone 4 and going on, they're all show dogs. 100%, they're all show dogs. Which
so it's got to be like poodle or
poodles, Great Danes, anything that is super bred.
But iPhones last a long time, so an iPhone is
not a collie.
Probably not one of those dogs that have been bred to the point where they can't like function correctly. So
the ones that have to struggle to breathe, which actually is not a laughing matter at all. That's disturbing.
Or like, my German Shepherd had like huge hind leg problems, because that's a huge problem in German Shepherd breeds now, because we all bred them to be ill for their lives. So probably have to be like I'm thinking like a smaller dog, sturdy, maybe like, I don't know, some kind of terrier, or like a sheepdog, maybe a pretty sheepdog. There's some of those. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Although it is difficult also to narrow this down, because I feel like an iPhone Pro Max would be like a larger dog. So
yeah,
I don't know, some kind of different sizes of herding dogs. That's what I'm going with.
And I gotta say, I do struggle maybe with what the iPhone Mini would be. And the only thing my brain jumps to, which isn't even a dog, is a kinkajou. That's the weird animal Paris Hilton was lugging around for a long time.
Yeah, that would be a tough one. What you would have to also do is figure out what are some of the least popular dog breeds in the United States.
Oh, harsh.
Because no one wanted the iPhone Mini.
You say that, but I don't know if it has actually been posted. I don't think so. But we do have an editorial coming out from AP that is literally a hooray for small iPhones.
I mean, okay, so like I've said this about, I'm glad small phones exist. I buy smaller phones wherever possible, but they don't sell well generally. I realize I'm in the minority here. So you'd have to pick a dog that doesn't sell well. So I don't know what the least popular dog breeds are in the US, but maybe one of those.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, Diablo. Hiking. What bear is this? Attacking kind. Google lens it. Yeah. Not that it's super relevant, but I did hear that there was a mountain lion attack somewhere, or cougars, same thing. But apparently someone figured out or learned how to stop the attack or scare away the cat by Googling it. This is not a news story. This is from I don't know, a year or so ago. But yeah, that I don't think they Google lensed it, but still, yeah. Hey, Google saved a life. Probably the first.
That was quick.
Wow, that was, and the picture it came up with, I'm actually almost sad that I swiped that away because it looked disturbing. Some kid that was super washed out. Anyway,
stupid.
I'm now worried about my search history.
Stupid. I hate PetSmart. Because I forgot they don't let you do appointments for just getting nails grinded, because it's something that only takes 5 minutes if there's not a wait. But inevitably most of the time when I go, it's oh cool, there's 7 other dogs in line.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Okay, I guess I'll have to call them tomorrow. Maybe it's too late today, probably.
Okay, so anyway, really quick, I just to explain what I was looking at earlier. I was kind of queuing up, trying to queue up a couple of moments from the event, and I looked back at that frame that I think it was Austin picked out from the event, and I'll switch over to that view now. You're welcome to hop on stream and look.
Okay.
The particular shot here, Austin noticed it because it has the iPhone Lightning to USB-C adapter plugged in, which very notably, let's see, does it show what that goes back to? No, it goes to the edge of the frame. But yeah, there's just random cable hanging out there. What I noticed about this that I found interesting when I started looking at it is the whole contraption that is holding the iPhone. That is this rod and that big huge round element that's there basically holding it all together, that's from a C-stand. Which is one of those solutions that I look at and I can't help but think, what on earth compels someone to have rigged it up with this particular set of things? Because seriously,
you just had it laying around.
And that would make some sense. It,
Yeah.
you know, C stands are really, really common in filming, though not out in the wilderness, not out in whatever setting they're in, swampland or whatever. That's weird. Like, C stands are for the studio, not for out in the wild. But, you know, to be fair, this is just one small part. And by small, I mean still heavy enough that if you hit someone with it, they're not getting back up. Like, that is a chunky thing to be using for this. Which also, very notably, it would be uncomfortable to hold for like longer periods of time. That is a huge chunk of steel. Actually, technically 2 chunks of steel, but still. Yeah, very, very odd choice in my opinion. But yeah, so well, I guess we'll start with the basic question. What did you think? Well, okay, I know you didn't watch the event, but
Correct.
what did you think of what you did get from what was announced yesterday? Trying to parse that language, but basically, what'd you think?
I mean, it seemed like your standard, you know, if you using the language that Intel loved to use until it was used against them, the TikTok cycle. This is definitely a talk year. This is not groundbreaking year. This is the minor upgrade that someone who's switching out their 2, 3, 4-year-old iPhone will be perfectly happy with. It's not crazy, but you know, I don't think, you know, massive redesigns every year is not sustainable, or in most cases helpful for most people to relearn everything. So, you know, it's fine. This is how technology works now. We're not going to get crazy wild redesigns every year.
Yeah.
I saw
Go
ahead.
I'll kind of build on that by actually literally just reading the first sentence. Well, it's currently the first sentence of my editorial. We'll see if it stays. But I literally say Tuesday's iPhone 13 announcement brought out plenty of opinions, but the one I heard the most is, in quotes, it's boring. Because
Yeah, that seemed to be the most people's takeaway.
yeah, I heard nothing but, well, I mean, I have heard other opinions, but almost everyone, I mean, certainly everyone in the Discord in some capacity said that, yeah, they really didn't get much out of this event. Twitter, from what I saw, was mostly outside of the stands. Twitter was really, really heavily leaning towards the, okay, that were you gonna announce something cool, like, at all? I think the biggest attention getter from the show was not even the iPhone, it was the iPad mini, which, since the original iPad mini, I don't think there has been an iPad mini anyone gave a crap about. This is the first time anyone's like, wow, neat, we actually care about this thing again.
Yeah, there was definitely a point a couple years ago where I really wanted a high-end, or I just wanted a non-Fire tablet type Android tablet that was like 8 inches or something, because I just didn't want a larger thing. And there was basically nothing. I ended up getting like an old review unit from someone at Android Police who didn't have a use for it anymore, and I flashed Lineage OS on that, and that was fine for a while until like the battery started to have issues or something. But yeah, there's just not really any options for like this sort of like 7 to 8 inch range. It's almost entirely budget tablets. Like there's nothing premium in this market at all. So it's nice that Apple's filling that void. And I know some people who really like their iPad minis, and they've been waiting for. It's kind of the same situation with the normal iPad, where it takes a while for stuff to trickle down to it from the more expensive lines, and the iPad Mini was really getting the short end of that stick. So Apple sort of opened the floodgates in here and said, okay, it's basically like an iPad Air, like a modern iPad Air, but tiny. And I think that's what people wanted.
Yeah, and I would certainly agree with that. I think the biggest significance for the iPad Mini in my mind is this is a product that, for lack of a better way to say it, it was kind of like the Mac Mini in that they really upgraded it kind of when it was convenient, when they felt like it. And then this is the one time it was almost more like the M1 Mac Mini came out, and here they are saying, hey, we're actually going to bring out something that's actually interesting, sort of a first in its own classification. And yeah, there's a reason for people to actually want this product again, where, let's be honest, I don't know, I want to say the last like 5-6 years, the iPad Mini has just kind of been a bastard child, which, you know, that's unfortunate. It's actually a good product. It just obviously, for, well, maybe not that obvious, but for many reasons it did not draw the largest market, so it got the least attention.
Yeah, which is the same story for small phones too.
And I mean, really, that was the same reason why the iPod Touch just always got the short end of the stick. And apparently they still make that, but it's like 3 generations behind or something.
Yeah, they update it like whenever they remember it exists, basically.
And whenever they run out of stock.
Yeah. I'm amazed they're still making that, honestly. Like,
they don't market it at all.
Yeah, I fully get the, you know, if you really don't want your kid to have something with cell phone capabilities, or if you just want like something for the gym that doesn't have like all your work apps on it or whatever. But I feel like that amount of people cannot be enough for that product line to be profitable after R&D and everything else. But I don't know. And Apple's got a lot of money to burn, so maybe they don't care.
Well, what gets me, like I said, they don't market it at all. But I like, you have to have some serious Google foo to even find it on the site. Like, and I mean very literally, like, it is easier to find by Googling for it than it is to actually find it on Apple's site. I have no idea what you have to click to get to it, because you can't go through any of the normal path. But
right,
yeah, it is what it is. And as Diablo's bringing up, the fact that the Mini is coming with USB-C is interesting. I appreciate that. Like, cheers, they made the right move there. Why aren't they doing it with the damn phone?
I know they started with Type-C on the iPad Pro. I don't know, are the other iPads on Type-C?
I can't say with certainty. I'd have to look at each one, but
yeah,
I believe almost all, if not all of them, are now moved over to Type-C.
So I'm going to the iPad Air page on Apple's website. I'm going to scroll until I see a picture of the bottom.
I mean, you could just look at tech specs.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because these are all off-angle photos. Okay, yeah, so the current Air has Type-C. Yeah, I'm going to go to the base iPad that still looks very old. Tech specs and Lightning. So that's fun. so that the Mini got Lightning before the cheapo iPad. That's interesting. Yeah, Diablo, the entry level iPad is apparently the last one left on Lightning.
Yep, appears so. Let's see. Yep, USB-C, and I already know I'm looking at the Pro. So yeah, entries, the base model iPad that's the one. Which I find it amusing that even that is a USB-C power adapter with a Lightning port on it. So yeah, they're not mincing words with this one. Like, the iPads are moving over, and that's pretty much the end of the story. Let's see. Quickly moving around windows. Okay. Corbin over here yelling into Discord.
Yes, and also getting Slack DMs.
Isn't it terrible? We multitask way too much.
Yeah. Well, the key is to never let my brain contemplate existence. So multitasking is a good way to not do that.
So is working at XDA.
Ooh, wow, Cody.
Oh, like we don't say that to each other all the time.
I will leave. No, I won't. I don't really feel like doing anything else right now.
Good call. Austin, quote, I think Apple is at the point they're making too many models again. You know, I'm inclined to agree. Because...
Oh, actually, hold on. I think I might have got a delivery. I'm going to check my door real quick.
Okay. Yeah, just taking a look at the top of the Apple Store page for the iPad. You've got the Pro, the Air, the regular iPad, and the Mini. That is a lot of models. And I know you can differentiate each one, but to some extent, I'm sitting here looking at like the iPad Air versus the iPad, and well, the iPad Mini is a size thing, but the iPad Air and the iPad, I look at that and I just have to ask why. And it's kind of like the MacBooks. Back when it was MacBook Air, MacBook, and MacBook Pro. When you're looking at the Air and the MacBook, you just have to kind of ask, like, why are both of these a thing? Can't we just pick one and move along? It always made sense to have the Pro, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to have the other variants. So I'm with you on this.
I mean, like, I don't know. I get the base argument that, like, there's too many options. But I also think Apple's is kind of a special case here because they're the only one in their ecosystem making the hardware. So, you know, we can point and say, like, Apple has more products in the same product line as Sony or, you know, Samsung or whoever, but that's because there's like a million other companies making products with that platform, and Apple's not. So I'm not really offended by the number of product lineups. I will say I was having 4 iPhone models in the same generation seems like a bit much. I don't really like when Samsung does the 3 that they do. There's already a lot of overlap with that middle plus phone between the cheap one and the Ultra.
Yeah.
And then you stack that with all the different storage SKUs and it gets complicated.
Yeah, and I certainly wouldn't presume to say no, you can't have all of these models. It's more just along the lines of, like, if I was in Apple's place, I wouldn't want to do this because I think this is just going to confuse customers. Like, you, me, anyone listening to this show, obviously, we are capable of making these decisions and researching exactly which product suits us, or as close as we can get. But I think the average person probably looks at this and at a certain point they're like, well, wait, should I get an Air or a regular iPad? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's the one where I would say I'm not sure I see the point in separating them. Like, I think they have it. Does Apple still have a MacBook, like a normal MacBook, or is it just the Air?
I think it's, let's see, they have the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro. Okay, yeah, there's no regular MacBook currently.
Okay, so they did this already with the MacBook line because they had that same issue there where
Yeah. Well,
there was like,
they've gone back and forth with the MacBook line.
yeah,
Every few years they reintroduce the MacBook, and then the MacBook Air kind of gets sidelined as the regular MacBook becomes the feature model, and then all of a sudden the MacBook Air swoops back in and is like, hey, I'm back. And yeah, then the MacBook gets discontinued. They continue for a few more years, and then a new regular MacBook reappears, and it's like, guys, we get it, but it's weird. And meanwhile, the MacBook Pro is just like, look, I'm safe.
MacBook Pro's like, they'll eventually get to me.
I'm doing good here. Nothing to worry about.
16-inch MacBook Pro. Poor guy. Everyone's forgot about it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about something everyone's forgotten, Mac Pro and Mac Mini. Holy crap, these two models that just cannot catch a break.
I will say, revived my my Mac Minis over. It's okay. It's out of camera, but I plugged in my I think it's a late 2012 Mac Mini again because I needed to update my Nexus Tools application, and it does work on Mac, and most of the people who use it are on Mac, so I can't really say, screw you guys. So I brought it back to life. I was expecting it to be a pain because at some point in the past I had completely wiped all the Mac partitions and it was just booting into Windows. But I was pleasantly surprised when I realized that the Mac has a network restore. So as soon as I connected it to my Wi-Fi, it downloaded the restore software, and then it reinstalled the whole OS. Although when it does that, it installs the version of macOS that it came with. So that was a fun little bit of like, oh, I remember this. This was before everything was flat, and they were still doing like the scratched metal pattern on stuff. That was fun. And then I had to spend a while trying to figure out how to update the OS because the Mac App Store is not good. So I eventually got it up to... I know there's like one more update it can do, but I got it to... I think it's on Mojave. I think. So a couple years old. But it met the minimum to install the Dart SDK, so I'm good there.
Yeah.
So I was surprised by how painless that was, and it made me wish Windows did anything remotely like that. I've never once had the Windows restore work for me. It's never happened. I'm convinced it's just like the code for it is just like a blank like if statement. Like there's just nothing that happens in there.
I wish I could say that I don't believe that, but I fully believe that. I think I tried doing it once many years ago. I mean, we're talking long ago. And I remember something not working. But beyond that, I really don't recall much to say about it. Fortunately, I feel like it's now been long enough since I've used Windows that I can objectively say that I'm almost reapproaching noob level.
Like, what's a start menu? Where's the App Store?
From what I understand, Microsoft is forgetting these things too, so...
Apparently they're trying with the App Store again. But I've heard that song and dance about 4 times, so we'll see.
Hey, maybe I should check my email and see if they're asking me to be a launch partner again. A-holes. Yeah. I will never not be a little jaded about that. That sucked up months of my life in development time for a product that would never even be launchable.
Yeah. So anyway, that was fun using a Mac again for the first time in like ages.
Nice flashback after after our OS X episodes.
Yes, and I've still got my Power Mac over here that I'm trying to get Tiger on,
Yeah.
and it's not happening. it's it's something with either because this computer still had the original hard drive in it, like the giant 6 GB IDE drive, and it still works, which I'm amazed by because usually old hard drives fail at some point, and that computer's like 20 years old. But I replaced it with a IDE to SATA adapter and then a SATA SSD, and the computer sees it fine, but I've never had the OS install go all the way through. And I know there's some funkiness with like the farther back you go, like the less likely the OS knows how to handle large drives. Like I did find an article on like this Mac enthusiast site that mentioned Apple didn't implement what they call big drive support until like 2002 in their Macs. So but like the limit there is like you have to have a drive under 120 gigabytes, and that's what my SSD is. But I don't, like the drive capacity is like, that's kind of like a soft 120 gig, like it varies. So there might be something there where it's like just over some limit. I don't know. And it could also be the adapter that's causing issues. So
yeah, I'm just wondering if it's because it's an SSD at all. Because
it could be. I've seen. Well, I see all the time.
Mac OS get really struggle when you throw SSDs at them. Now, not every case, because some controllers are kind of designed to be friendly, but yeah, and I know this. I've never replaced drives. Wow, my watch just buzzed like 30 times. I've never replaced drives in old Macs. I have replaced drives in old PCs, and I've never had issues with solid state stuff with there. But I know Macs are weird, so I don't know. I'll either get like a smaller SSD or try one of those compact flash adapters. I don't really want to use compact flash though, because I don't have any of those adapters or cards laying around. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's something to go. And I could just put the old drive in and turn it back on, but I like the idea of it being quiet, or as quiet as you can get a G3.
Yeah.
Diablo said, "Wow, a revival indeed. Does it still work well?" Yeah, everything works in it, which I was surprised by, because again, it's like 20 years old and hasn't been. It's just been sitting in closets over the years. But no, it's everything works. The CD drive still works, which I'm shocked by, because every other Mac I grew up using, the CD drive failed after a couple years. It's got FireWire. I don't think I have any FireWire devices, but there is a port on there. It's got USB 1.1, all the fun stuff. But yeah, it had like stock, I think it was like 128 megabytes of RAM, which is fine for the time, but I want to run like a couple years newer OSs, and it would have freaked out. So I bought more RAM and I put it in. Now it's up to the maximum allowed memory, which is 1 gigabyte.
Oh, I remember those days.
Yeah, it reminds me of. Do I have it? Yeah. Oh, I have it right here. Reminds me of when I was screwing around with this Macbook, and I was like, "How much can I upgrade this? Like, will it actually be a functional computer?" The answer is no. But like, I remember upgrading the. I remember pulling up the Intel specs page for whatever like crappy Atom chip this has, and it was like maximum RAM like 2 gigs. I was like, oh no. For a computer made in like 2007 or 2008. But yeah, good times.
Okay, so really quick, because Zach called this out and in Discord, and I want to highlight it. Some person who clearly needs psychological help has decided to implement Windows 95 inside of Electron.
Oh, I've seen this. This made the rounds a while back.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
All
just like a it's just like a x86 emulator, and I think like WebAssembly that's inside of Electron. I forget how it works.
That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But still, I'm just seeing this, and all I can think is, no. You don't need to do this with your life. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to make something actually worse.
Yeah, so it's based on an x86 emulator that's written in WebAssembly. So yeah, but yeah, no, it's just a. I'm sure someone made this as like a tech demo, and they were like, "Oh, this is kind of fun though." But yeah,
I mean, when tech demos make the world worse, you've introduced a thing that just should not happen.
Yeah. I will say whenever I want to run Windows 95 era stuff, like I have some games that fit in this era, I always go for Windows NT 4 in like VirtualBox, because that was supported for just long enough that it has like the network drivers for VirtualBox, so I can just copy files to it without doing anything weird. And it runs 95 software, so it's great. Or
I've gone with Windows 2000, but
yeah,
sure.
I've also done XP a couple times, because it still kind of had like 16-bit Windows software support, sort of.
Yeah, though things with XP get hinky real quick.
Yeah. Like it kind of has like DOS support, but not really. It's like an approximation of DOS. Kirby said ice or Coke or Pepsi, Corbin. Oh, this is iced tea.
Yeah. I'm just Wada boy.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what I'm doing for food tonight. I might just pop in the other frozen pizza. Yeah, I do have a frozen pizza I could pop in. Or I do have a couple dollars left of Domino's money. So either option sounds fine.
Austin suggests hard iced tea.
What is that?
Oh, it's just alcoholic iced tea.
Oh.
Not to be confused with a Long Island iced tea, which is not even remotely iced tea. But no, just iced tea with presumably, I'm guessing probably vodka added would be the way to make a hard iced tea.
I would need to source vodka.
Pretty sure I've got some around.
You want to toss me a bottle?
Yeah, sure.
Like here, I'll reach in. Yeah.
Just hit download at exactly the right moment. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah, you could just put it in the same share folder for the Tech Tales recordings. And...
yeah, that'd work. Yeah, a little Dropbox action.
Yeah, matter transport over Dropbox.
No, we'll just put it on a drone. Amazon's got this worked out, right?
Probably. I mean, you're pretty far away, but like they could like do a handoff with other drones, like a relay race.
Right. I see nothing wrong with this idea.
This is for sure the most efficient way to transport something.
Give it a few years, it actually might be. Watch when some company comes up, pops up and says, "Yeah, we're straight up competing with UPS and FedEx. And our whole thing is you can just ship to other people via drone. We send a drone to your house. Don't ask what happens after that, but it'll get to someone else's place within like 12 hours. Anywhere in the US, all via drone.
Yeah. I just got Daisy a bath and a nail grind and a haircut. So she's going to hate me tomorrow, but she's going to look really pretty. And she's not going to shed all over my car when I have to drive her. It's going to be great.
Well, on the return trip.
Yeah. She'll grow hair extra fast just to spite me. And then just poof.
You never know.
Hair explosion in the car.
Dogs know how to get revenge. They're good at that. So anyway, let's see. The rest of the Apple event, I know you did not see any of this stuff, so I'll just tell you really quickly. They highlighted Apple TV because not enough people care. They highlighted their fitness like classes and services. Basically, we're Peloton, but you know, by Apple. And yeah, let's see. Was there anything else? I swear there was one or two other things, and it as I'm watching this, all I could think is, you know, these are the moments that every journalist normally gets to stop paying attention for a minute and just write something else.
Yeah, those are like the catch-up moments where you get time to like check how many typos you made in the article that already got published. So that's fine.
Yep. Or at least communicate with other people on the team, or you know, something to that effect.
Yeah. Or go, you know, short pee break. You know, it's just like in movies when they get to the slow parts, you're like, okay, great, I can go get more popcorn now.
Yeah.
Also, I was scrolling down on that Windows 95 thing, and not to completely derail, but I saw something even more cursed, which is there's an article for running the Windows 95 Electron app inside of a Docker container.
Oh, jeez. What horrible monster.
How many layers of virtualization do we go?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't actually bother to read. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's
Cursed.
disastrous. Yeah, so they were pitching services, which shocker, you know. Let's see. They highlighted the new Apple Watch. I have nothing to say on this. Frankly, like, cheers, it's a good product. But my capacity to care is pretty minimal since it is completely unusable with Android. Let's see. You know, I actually just had a weird thought. For as much as they talked about the iPhone, I noticed they didn't actually mention iMessage. And I feel like it's wrong to make any assertion about that, but a small part of me can't help but wonder, is that because they realize that they really don't want to talk about iMessage anymore? Because at this point, there's no way to bring it up that isn't kind of just egging people on to force Apple to like open it up, or at least support RCS.
Well, you know, they usually talk about that with iOS stuff, and this wasn't an iOS event, so that's probably why.
It was an iPhone event.
But they don't. That iMessage usually gets updates with iOS versions, though.
I guess, but
I got you, Cody.
new versions of iOS generally come with the phone. They just didn't really talk about it because they showed it all off during the during WWDC. Though I will say this is, I don't want to say this is the first Apple event like this. It probably isn't, but I don't remember very many Apple events where they show off a new phone and we're like, oh, by the way, new version of iOS. Moving on. Like, that's kind of what they did on this one. I know they mentioned iOS for a brief, like, second, And then they were like, yeah, just, you know, that's all we're going to say about it. Moving to the next thing. That was interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the iPad Mini was the only thing I saw here that I was like, oh, that's neat. Because again, like I was in that spot a couple years ago where I was really looking for a good small tablet, and there really wasn't anything. So that's nice that exists now, I guess.
Yeah. For me, I did so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd kind of like to get an iPad Mini or an iPad in general, but the other thing that caught my attention, and obviously there was a little discussion about this in Discord already. It's very much what my editorial is about. It's all of the pro video features that Apple has been adding to the iPhone. And strictly speaking, it's actually the last 2 years of iPhones where this has been a thing. The one that, Corbin, I'll just say, if you haven't watched the event, but if you should choose to later, when they get to the section, and I just switched to the screen that has this, when they get to the section that is clearly a Knives Out knockoff.
Oh, I did see this. Yeah.
Oh God, it is so bad. It is 100% cringe. Because I mean, I already didn't think Knives Out was that spectacular. It was an okay movie, but their attempt to sort of mock it here, or I guess reference it, allude to it, whatever we're gonna call this. Yeah, it's just not good. But I find it interesting because they kind of presented it in one way during the opening of during the discussion of the iPhone in general, and then they explain what's actually going on in a later section, which changes what you understand about this really quickly. So they of course educated people on rack focus, and they're calling this cinematic mode, which I for various reasons I object to that particular choice of term, but different issue. But what they're doing is they're basically doing the fake bokeh effect with the iPhone with live video, and they're actually recording depth maps with your video so that they can do live, or like, sorry, after the recording you can refocus what part of the video is actually in focus versus what's out of focus, which is a neat effect. That's actually super cool, at least technologically speaking. That being said, holy crap, this is the cringiest feature that makes me actually feel bad for iPhones in a way, because I know for the first week or two everyone is going to be doing this when they get their iPhones, and then after that no one's going to do this again. Like this is going to be that feature that just dies on the vine.
That kind of reminds me of when Apple added that like the portrait mode that sort of like blackened the background of like you'd have it would show like your face in like black and white and the background be black. I remember like everyone taking photos with that for like a month, and then I haven't really seen one of those in a while. Like sometimes I'll notice someone on like Twitter has that as like their profile picture, but that's really it.
Yeah, and there was a degree of this. I even said something about this on Twitter yesterday about Animoji. It was a thing for about a month, maybe a little bit longer. Every time they would announce it and a new version would come out, like it would get a resurgence, and then it would just vanish, and you wouldn't see or hear about it again. Though someone did reply to me and say that they see it all the time, and all I'm thinking is, what circles do you hang in that you see this all the time? I think you're in the minority here. Nevertheless, yeah, this is it's these types of features. I don't have anything against them. They're neat gimmicks to show off to people, but they don't last, which is a thing. All that being said, man, the features that Apple is adding to the iPhone are crazy. So, of course, being able to refocus your video is just a neat as hell effect. But what, like, some of the things that stand out to me, they're adding, well, okay, so last year, just for reference, last year, they released an iPhone with the ability to record 10-bit HDR video. This is something like, this is an expensive camera right here, an expensive dedicated camera that people, there are actually a lot of people out there who've used this camera to record like legitimate TV shows for network television. It cannot do that. There are, in fact, a lot of cameras. Granted, in the last like year, a lot more cameras have come out with the ability to do this, and there were certainly cameras before that, but yeah, it has only just recently become like considered commonplace to be able to record 10-bit or higher on regular cameras. And here's the iPhone delivering it last year, which is insane. That is a huge thing. And for those who may be curious, not understanding exactly why that's special, the quick and immediate answer is 10-bit is a reference to how many colors the video can capture, or how many it will keep, store, whatever. And the significance to that is the higher bit depth of the colors in your video, the more color grading you can do to it before it, as they say, it breaks apart. Before you start getting weird banding issues, and before colors start looking weird because you push them too far. So, yeah, this is actually a big deal. And there are already a lot of vloggers and like sort of amateur filmmakers who've cited this as one of the biggest advancements that they could have made. Meanwhile, I think there's, I could be wrong in this, I think there's 2 Android phones that can do this now. And both of them had to do this as a custom thing. That's...
Yeah. Apple definitely, for whatever reason, I think just video has never been like a super high priority with most Android phone manufacturers. Like, they care about it, but Apple seems to care about it a great deal more.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and I'm totally spoiling all the big like mic drop details I'm going to make in my editorial, but here's the thing. You know who cares about this stuff? For the most part, just a small number of hardcore like gear tech centric channels on YouTube. Sure, it is just honestly like somewhere under 1,000 channels on YouTube really super care about this stuff. But the thing is, who follows those channels?
Yeah.
It's TikTokers, it's other YouTubers, it's hundreds of thousands of people who watch those channels. Actually, millions of people watch those channels collectively. Not all of them are million subscriber channels, but there are so many people watching those, and they're making their buying decisions based on what camera do I want to use, or what phone do I want to use for making TikToks, or for if I want to be a vlogger with like a super lightweight setup, what phone should I get? When they're asking that question, they're watching those channels that are all saying it's an obvious choice. You have to get an iPhone because no other phone is doing this stuff. One of the announcements that came out of the iPad or the iPhone Pro event yesterday, and I'm sort of skipping around to it. I'll get there somewhere. Is this? Yeah. There. ProRes. They are adding ProRes. It technically will not be there. They kind of really darted past this point, but it's not going to be there at launch. But ProRes support is going to happen with a software update. Anyone who doesn't know ProRes, I wouldn't be surprised. But ProRes is one of the most industry standard codecs for production delivery. So, like, if you're sending commercials to a TV station to be played on the air, there's a fair chance you would deliver in ProRes. And this is a format that in an earlier version has been around since 2007. It was actually developed by Apple, and it is hugely popular. It is one of these standard codecs used for editing. So why does this matter? It edits so much smoother than things like H.265 or H.264. Everything else records in usually one of those, and to be recording in this means that you don't have to do any translation, you don't have to transcode anything, you don't have to screw around, and you just automatically have one of the highest quality codecs you can possibly get. And the iPhone's just going to record to it natively now, or can record to it natively now. That's a big deal. Like, they're doing stuff for pro video on a phone. I'm sorry, but to me, I think this matters. Give it another year or two. If Google does not find a way to start catching up on this stuff, and let's be honest, Samsung's not going to do it. There is maybe a chance a few Chinese companies might try to do a little bit of this stuff, but they're going to be limited in what they can accomplish. Give it a few years, and this is going to have a real impact. There are going to be a lot more people who are looking at this and saying, well, if we want to make better quality videos for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, we got to get an iPhone. Then that absolutely trickles down.
Yeah, I will. So this isn't iPhone at all, but on the topic of cameras, I did finally get my my little Moment MagSafe stand thing.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. It's a lot of fun to just like click. Phone's on the mount now. And also with this, it's kind of cool because like I can turn it without like turning it off pushing it off the mount. Like I can just do this and it stays on. Yeah, like well, now the tripod's gonna move, but like that's cool with just magnets. I feel like it shouldn't work like that. That's cool. So
yeah, that's a pretty strong magnet.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might look for other fun magnet stuff now.
Yeah, once you're into the ecosystem, it gets hard to move away from it, or it gets easier to want to have more stuff.
And it's a lot nicer than the like death grip clamp that I used with phones before.
Honestly, I hate those so much.
Yeah, especially because like it's getting harder and harder to have one where you can mount it like roughly in the center of gravity of the phone and not like have it hold down on a button.
Yeah. Yep. So. Exactly that. Plus, like, I know that this isn't the best example, but I got a Nomad case, and you know, leather on the back, which I've done sufficient scratching up and scarring of this on my own without the help of death clamps. But you know, when you factor in that a death clamp is going to leave little marks at some location, it's like, I don't want that. I already expect to damage this leather a fair amount, but I don't want to make it worse with something like that. So yeah, I don't like them. I I would like to be able to throw a magnet. This is the thing. I really want somebody to just make a default MagSafe compatible magnetic system for all phones. And I want all phones to be able to
like a sticker. That's
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be okay with it being in cases, but I kind of just want it in the phone.
Well, I feel like that's gotta happen soon, because like Apple can't patent like magnets, right? Or they shouldn't be able to. I know they shouldn't be able to, but maybe they have. Like definitely, like I can see the argument for like the charging with the magnets, but like phones have had like this phone has a magnet. I can get like a very loose connection without the case on.
Right. So, and chances are that's not actually supposed to happen so much. It's probably the Qi coil is what it's latching onto. But so you're right. Apple cannot patent magnets. Just default loose statement of patenting magnets. But they can patent, and in fact, I saw a video. I wish I knew how I could find this again, because I don't have any clue where I saw it. But I saw a video probably like, I want to guess about a year ago, maybe 2, that was talking about this this company that was making designer magnetic fields. And so apparently they figured out some way to create these magnetic fields that were just very specific, custom shaped. And part of the point was that if they design a field a certain way, then you could take another magnet and only fit that magnet to that field in a specific orientation. Like no other way you could turn it, no other way you could flip it around, twist it, no matter what. You could only attach a magnet with this very precise orientation, which was a neat idea. I mean, I kind of knew that was possible. I didn't really think much about it though, but to see how they had it was just insane. So the thing is though, Apple can absolutely patent that design. Whatever custom design they get, they can patent it. And so yeah, they can patent MagSafe effectively. But you're right, they can't patent magnets in general. Unfortunately, that does mean technically I don't think anyone's supposed to be able to use it unless they can come up with something that would work, that still works with MagSafe without technically being the same exact thing, which I assume I'm sure that's possible. But
well, I don't know what Moment's doing in their cases.
Oh, they got permission from Apple.
Oh,
yeah, that's
they
licensed.
don't use them. They don't use the MagSafe branding.
Yeah, because they're doing their own thing. But let me take that back, because I don't know the specifics of what they're doing for the Galaxy cases. But
it's the same like T-Force name on this that they have for like their other magnetic stuff. And like I know there's definitely magnets in the case, because this does connect stronger than the phone on its own. It's got something in there.
But I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that they licensed this directly from Apple, so they got permission of some kind to do this. But I don't know the specifics beyond that. And for what it's worth, I'm not sure, because I know that they did a bunch of licensing with Apple to do MagSafe accessories and cases for iPhones so that those would work. I'm not 100% certain that they didn't maybe license it from Apple and then just kind of freewheeling, like, let's do this on Galaxy cases too, and we'll just see if Apple complains. Honestly, I have no idea if they did that. They could have. And it's not like Apple would necessarily throw a fit. I'm sure they would throw a fit, but I don't know if they would notice it.
Yeah. Or like, care. At some point they have to prioritize who they want to sue. Maybe they're too busy with Epic. They've got all their lawyers on that at the moment.
I mean, Apple's got a lot of lawyers.
They do, but they're using a lot.
I don't know. They bothered to have at least one of them write a DMCA takedown on me. Clearly, they had some amount of free time. Kirby asked if she can use the phone to tripod adapter on a OnePlus or Pixel phone.
Without the case?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, like, so this part, the bottom part just hooks into like the normal tripod screw mount. I don't know what it's called.
It's a quarter 20.
Okay. So like any tripod will work for that part. I have a OnePlus phone somewhere, or several.
Okay, but the issue here is going to be that the OnePlus, like, there's no case for a OnePlus or Pixel phone right now that attaches to MagSafe.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to this is the OnePlus 9 Pro that I don't use for anything. So, moment of truth. I mean, it's no.
Okay.
It like just barely, like, it's already slipping here. Like if I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the answer is no on the OnePlus, and I don't have a modern Pixel phone. So, but I would imagine it's the same thing, where it's not like really magnetic, but maybe it's accidentally magnetic a little bit. So.
And hey, Carson, welcome.
You'd probably need one of the cases or an iPhone.
Yeah, and I have a feeling some company is going to end up popping up with either knockoff MagSafe or maybe fully licensed MagSafe. We'll see. But truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised if Spigen, whoever. I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually end up making knockoff cases. Just because you're looking it up right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am typing in MagSafe case and just other brands. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Most of the results for MagSafe case are iPhone cases that retain the MagSafe magnetic abilities. So yeah, not seeing a whole lot here.
Yeah, like I just stumbled across, need to get my scenes organized here. I just stumbled across something like this. It's not MagSafe, but it's something this company calls Mag-EZ mount, which, who knows, maybe that's compatible with MagSafe.
Store brand MagSafe.
Exactly. I feel like they would mention it if it was compatible.
Yeah. Or just something very generic, like it has magnets in it. You can guess what that's for. We're not legally allowed to say.
Yeah. Okay, there is it looks like that I found one case that is a OnePlus case with MagSafe magnets. At least it appears so, though I gotta admit, it's a wallet style case, and honestly, I'm really skeptical because they could be calling it MagSafe just to describe the little flap that magnetically closes over the cover. Because this is a real shady looking site. Yeah. I'm just gonna say do not get any of these things because they look like garbage. But I have a feeling this is gonna become a thing within the next couple of years. Someone's gonna just pop up and say, no, for real, we're just gonna make cases consistently. Like, I mean, obviously Moment has done it. Others are going to also.
Yeah. So anyway, this is neat. I don't know if it was worth $30, but I like it.
Hey, if you like it, it's probably worth it.
I also still don't like Moments cases. I've had this for like a couple months, and granted, it's been like near water a bunch, but like it's plastic, so it should be okay. But like the little lip is coming off a little bit. I'm not gonna be able to get this on camera, but it's like the raised lip on top of just the plastic shell is like not really like the glue there. It's coming off. So anyway,
interesting.
I Moment cases.
I had it on my Pixel 4 XL. I had a Moment case on there, but then due to a particular problem with it, I switched to the Nomad case. But I had the same style of case on the Pixel 3, and this is the canvas case, and this canvas back is just glued on, so the like fabric of it started coming loose around the edges, and so that's why I kind of retired it. It's not a problem on my Pixel 3, but yeah, that was I saw a lot of people in AP comments complaining about this particular issue, and it's like, oh, hey, that's like, I understand a few random quality control flukes, but it seems like it's actually super common with some of their newer cases, and it's like, damn it, I wanted you guys to stay good. Why couldn't you stay good?
You're like, now I look like a shill for saying these are good.
Yeah, and I already had people accusing me of being a shill, and it's like, no, I actually just like the products.
Yeah.
Not to say they haven't sent me a few things, but
it's the correct term is unpaid marketing assistant.
Yes.
It's like me with Spigen. I've bought like way too many Spigen cases over the years, because they always seem to work fine. But
yeah,
they haven't paid me yet.
Yeah, I've liked a lot of their cases. Well, I've liked a couple of their cases, but not, I don't know. I guess I was a fan back in the days when there weren't great cases out there. And then as better cases started coming out, it's like, you know what? I'm kind of done here. And then they kind of changed their designs, and I was really done after that. So, yeah. But I may have to end up going back to them at some stage, just because I'm starting to doubt that Moment is going to make the case quality that I want. And I have a feeling Nomad is not going to be making cases that work with Moment lenses. So yeah, that was the biggest reason I went to Nomad in the first place. This one-off example where they happened to make a case that was perfect for the Pixel 4.
Also, iPhone related, I saw the iPhone mini starts at $700.
Yes,
that's an okay price, and they finally bumped the base to 128 gigs of storage
on the mini.
Yeah.
Because, yeah,
Oh.
previous iPhones already had that.
So.
Which I learned from rewatching a fairly sizable chunk of last year's keynote or launch.
Yeah, like at some point I'll probably have to buy another iPhone just to have something iOS to test with. But Apple keeps updating this iPhone SE, so I haven't had to do that yet. I can tell like apps aren't really optimized for 3.5-inch screens anymore, but it still technically works. So it's good enough to test in mobile Safari and everything.
So Carson says the regular 12 was still 64. Okay, that's probably true. I'm really only paying attention to the Pro models. But yeah, they said I'm currently skimming through the. Damn it. Their events are long enough that it's a pain. Ah, yeah, okay. So, oops. Not that scene. Where's the scene I want? Here's the scene I want. The iPhone 12 Pro Max lowest size was 128. And they made a point of highlighting that during the event. So yeah, previous with the 11 or 11S, whatever it is, the base was 64, and then with the 12 Pro models, they pushed it to 128. But regular 12 still 64. With iPhone 13, were all of them 128? Or
I believe so.
Okay. I mean, that's good. The thing is, I know that this is a bit of a niche opinion, but I don't feel like it matters that much if you have a 64 gig model. But I think that the upgrade price from 64 to 128 should be dirt cheap.
Yeah, I still have yet to fill a phone to 120 gig. I really the only thing you're losing is like you have to use you have to back up photos and videos more often. That's really it. And like maybe you're one of those people who just doesn't take a lot of photos, and then you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the biggest reason why I say you don't actually need a base model of 128 and higher, because I keep seeing people. In fact, I don't want to bring attention to the article because frankly it was a disaster in a million different ways, but while I was doing some quick research for the editorial, I stumbled across this article somebody had written about why the Pixel, I think it was the Pixel 5, maybe it was the Pixel 4, was completely unsuitable for creators. And one of the reasons is the base storage amount was 64 gigabytes. And I read that and it's like, you dumbass. First off, someone could just get more. Like they didn't have to buy the base model. And, plus, all right, that just means you have to move stuff off the phone more often. That doesn't mean you can't still use it.
And also, even if you're like, I don't know, vlogging in the mountains and you didn't bring your laptop with you, like Android has really good USB drive support. So if storage is an issue, you just buy one of those massive USB solid state drives, plug it in, and you're golden.
Yeah. Or you could even use which I really got to contact one of the companies for this. There's one I have in mind. They have wireless solid state drives that you can use. You literally, like, they have really great app support. You can just connect to one of those and upload whatever you want. And so you don't even need to tinker with cables or anything. This is a, I don't want to say a solved problem, but it's not bad. Curvy. Cody, change scenes before Apple copyright strikes me. You'll notice that I have not been playing video. I've only been showing like still scenes or like occasionally maybe skimming a little bit, but no video. If they try with this, you better believe I will counter that so fast. And if they try, if I even get a takedown attempt, I will be screaming on Twitter over that shit. Hell, I might actually write an editorial on AP about how terrible Apple is, or rather their lawyers.
Cody's not playing video, but I am about to blast some Miley Cyrus here.
I think Taylor Swift is the dangerous one.
Yeah, that's what the cops do.
Let's see, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, but if it was, let's say, my aunt, she installs just a very small number of like casual games, and I mean, we're talking solitaire, not like Farmville type of stuff. We're talking just basic solitaire style games. She takes a very small number of pictures and doesn't do much else with her phone. She honestly does not need any more than a 64 gig model. And I know that that's in the minority, but it is what it is. Like, it's kind of a non-issue. So yeah, I do think it's okay for them to keep selling really small iPhones, but I hate that the upgrade price is always way too much to be moving from the smallest size to the next step up, which is always where most people should actually be buying. So I guess in general, I'm okay with the fact that Apple's dropping the smallest size, but I also don't think it was a necessity.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion where, like, I don't personally care that much, but maybe this isn't correct in the current silicon shortage era, but like flash storage was getting so cheap, there really wasn't an excuse. Like, when the price difference is like a couple dollars, like, come on, Apple, you can do it.
Yeah, and
when $1 trillion company can spend a couple more bucks per phone, it's okay.
Aren't they 2 trillion now?
Probably.
I swear they I thought I heard that somewhere, but maybe not. Anyway,
Apple evaluation.
So really quick to Carson's follow-up. Yes, that's correct. The literal baseline 13 Pro that is only 128 gigs of storage is not allowed to shoot in the 4K 30 ProRes, which I think by common sense we can all say that is not actually a real limit. It is an artificial limit that they're imposing. But to be fair, ProRes will destroy your storage space fast, so it's understandable.
Wouldn't it be possible that they're using like cheapo storage on that one?
Is it possible? Yes, but does that change the technical aspect of whether or not you can record ProRes to there? I suppose it's possible. Maybe that's a speed issue.
Yeah, like if they
and
just
I'm not sure if ProRes, or if they allow ProRes to be recorded at a lower resolution or lower frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, I have a feeling that's just an artificial limit that they're using to push people to upgrade to the 256, not a real limit.
Or
but
it's the
real
classic
limit is possible.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be hardware. It could also, like you said, be the classic nanny Apple, where Apple has decided you don't need this thing, so you don't get it. You don't need more web browsers. What are you talking about? Safari's great.
Yeah. And to everyone who's calling out that you can, or I could show video. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I could. But at this point, like, I'm almost kind of doing it as I'm mocking Apple sort of thing. Like, I almost hope at some point an Apple PR person or someone comes along and goes, okay, seriously, this guy's just doing nothing but whining about how stupid we've been. And maybe someday they'll catch on that they let their lawyers run wild. It needs to, someone needs to call them out, and I know they'll never hear me doing it, but hopefully someone else does eventually. Apple does need to be called out for the fact that they're actually trying to take down people who are literally showing and helping them advertise their products.
Yeah, I will never understand that behavior at all. Like, it's just like Nintendo does the same thing where I don't know if they're as bad anymore, but for a while they were just copyright claiming anything, like anytime anyone played a couple of their games. Like, why? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know if they've changed in the last few months, literally last few months, but early this year there was a string of Twitch streamers who all got taken down because they were playing Nintendo games on Twitch. Like, just straight up. And it's like, wow, for real? Guys, learn. You are really screwing yourselves so harshly here, because so many of these people are buying your game and just they're free advertising for you.
Now, look, I could understand if they were getting copyright takedowns for like some third-party Switch ports, because like if I saw some of those online, I wouldn't be too impressed. But like Mario Maker, come on, that looks fine. You don't need to do
Yeah.
maybe do copyright takedowns for like the whatever Switch port looks the worst on this month, but you know. Like I did get the Outer Worlds on Switch because I just wanted to I wanted to play it, and I don't really want like more computer games where I'm sitting at my computer working for hours and then sitting at the same computer to play games all the time. And it is rough on the Switch.
Yeah,
like it looks like it's not pretty, but it's playable. Yeah, my bigger issue is just the combat. I still don't understand how people play shooty games on controllers. I still can't get used to it.
You know, I will say I don't like it. I definitely prefer a keyboard and mouse, but I've gotten pretty used to it with Borderlands 3.
At least with like modern shooting games where there's a lot going on. Like when I play I played the Doom game, like when the port for the original Doom game on the Switch, that's fine. Like you're just aiming. You don't even, there's not even like vertical aiming in that game. You just point in the general direction of something and fire, and that's it.
Wow, that's convenient.
Yeah.
That was honestly, that was one nice thing about the original Doom. I kind of did like that.
Yeah, so that was fine. The more complex ones though are a little bit more cumbersome. So anytime I play like an FPS on the Switch, I'll usually just go for like whatever melee weapon is the best, so I can just run up and smash the button that just smacks him with a hammer or something, or an axe. Like I had a giant axe when I played Skyrim on the Switch, and now I'm playing the Outer Worlds and I've got like some super powered hammer thing. It's great.
Makes sense.
The key is not to aim.
Yeah, I don't get what Nintendo thinks they're doing. I don't get what Apple thinks they're doing. It just like going around basically harassing your fans or people who are generally talking about you and kind of in some way, shape, or form encouraging people to buy the products, or at least making them aware of the products. Why on earth do you think it's a good idea to take down these people? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or just in general, anyone that has an audience. Like, don't piss off people that have an audience, because they're the ones who are going to... if you end up getting them banned from a platform where they're making money, holy crap, what do you think they're going to be doing? They're literally going to tell everyone that follows them, don't buy from these guys. They're evil. They are the worst thing on the internet. Shocker. You've alienated huge swaths of customers doing this. Yeah, I don't get that.
No.
So let's see.
Apple.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's really much more to say from yesterday's event. I can't remember them talking about anything else. Not actually related to yesterday's event, but sort of preemptively, I will say, looking forward to next month when rumor has it somewhere around middle to end of next month they'll be having a Mac event. MacBook Pro time. Finally, the M1X or M2, M1 Pro, whatever the fuck they're going to call it. Hooray. Looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to it because I don't really like that the only like M1 Max have 8 gigs of RAM.
Or 16.
And aren't there 16 gig?
Yeah, it's 8,
Max with
8 and 16. All the M1s currently are 8 or 16. There's nothing above that, but
I thought it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was the two sizes, but 16 was the cap.
What was I looking at?
Fairphone? I don't know.
Every time I looked at like the MacBook Air on Amazon, it would just only show 8 gigs of RAM, but you could choose between like storage. Okay.
Yeah, but that's Amazon. Amazon's always kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not strictly opposed to 16, but it's not great. Like that's
no, especially when like, you know, the constant push with Macs or one of them has been content creation, and that is becoming increasingly impossible with less than like 16 gigs of memory.
You know, it's funny because there are so many people who said that they actually switched to their like M1 MacBook Airs for video editing because they were performing better than their much better spec like MacBook Pros and stuff like that. Which I kind of get. It makes sense because they have hardware that is very, very well optimized for video. Like that specifically is the one thing that the M1 Max were so perfectly designed for. But man, that has limits, because if you're doing a project that has like a lot of layering, like multiple tracks and streams, oh boy, totally different story.
Yeah, like I know, like just off the top of my head, when you have an M1 Mac, you don't need any of the weird workarounds that the computer industry has created to keep you from being infected with like Spectre on Intel chips. So that cuts out a lot of memory usage right there, because like Chrome has had to set up like extra firewalling and sandboxing. I assume like every other browser has. A lot of other types of applications like that have non-compiled code have to do this too. So it wouldn't surprise me just shifting architectures. We can turn off a lot of those things. So, but in the end, a Chrome tab is still a Chrome tab, and more RAM is helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, and all that said, like, video editing by itself is one thing, but if you're going to have, Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve open at the same time, along with Chrome, along with, the handful of, always open apps up in the bar, plus is, I don't know, maybe you're screen recording with OBS or doing any number of other things. Like, as you start piling these things up, yeah, that 16 gigs may have been fine for video editing. It's not fine for all these things at the same time.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Carson asks, why is resizing Chrome windows on macOS so janky? Is it?
I wouldn't know the answer to that.
I guess at the moment it is for me. Normally I don't think it is, but admittedly, I have a lot of stuff going on right now, and I have 189 tabs open, and how many separate Chrome windows?
And
oh, it's a lot.
CSS is really complicated.
But yeah, some of the windows that I have open, I think this is, yeah, I guess they're all pretty janky right now. Normally it would be better, but I have too much stuff open. Fully a factor there. And I have a lot of stuff open because I'm looking for all these references to old things so I can cite them in the editorial, but I'm not going to end up using like 80% of the stuff I found, which is a shame because I found some really good points. Just I don't know how I'm going to fit them into the post. And I'll get yelled at if this editorial's over like 800 words.
I'm trying to find okay, here's a 5. The delivery driver gets a 5.
The other possibility is I think Chrome still isn't really optimized for Apple Silicon yet. If I remember, I think they came up with a version that was, but it's like
it's definitely M1 native. But yeah, I'm sure there's
like
probably
recompiled, but I don't think it's actually like optimized.
Possibly.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a RAM issue. I think it's just they probably haven't fixed the code to really support it yet.
Right. I have ordered pizza. Good for your belly.
Yeah. Actually, probably bad for your belly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't care. So not a whole lot besides Apple happened to well, there was all those Pixel leaks, but I don't have anything insightful to say about them.
Well, okay, so there's actually a bit of a meta topic, and it's something that I already said I would kind of talk about. Maybe you've got some insights here too. Okay. MKBHD over the last week, somewhere, I don't know, a few days ago, maybe it was the end of last week, came out with a video basically saying, hey, leak culture, is it good, is it bad? He basically kind of gave a half opinion on it and left it at that. What do you think of leak culture? This sort of tendency where every site is really just grabbing hold of every leak that comes out. Sometimes they ignore stuff that really is super sketch, but obviously we cover, well, I say we in the collective, but we end up covering all kinds of stuff about devices before they come out. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes we're covering things that honestly we would never cover if it wasn't for the fact that it came in the form of a leak. I mean, really, like, think of how many times we've seen sites cover which colors a phone is going to come out in. We would never give a dedicated article to this with the announcement of a phone. But holy crap, are we ever going to cover it when they leak? Hey, this phone's going to come in 3 colors.
I don't really think I have any issues with just generally reporting on leaks. Like just that idea in a vacuum, I don't care. I'm fine with it, whatever. Um, it just heavily depends on the coverage and the way it's handled. I don't again like I don't really think like anything I can think of that like I don't like about tech leaks. I don't think can be attributed to just like a uniform culture. I think it's just like a couple sites that I have issues with who do this kind of stuff. Um, like trying to think of examples. I don't there's a couple I've seen a couple instances where and I've done this before where a company will want something framed as a leak because it's more effective advertising that way. Not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of. Okay, I'll tell you what really grinds my gears is when someone on like Twitter or Weibo, whatever the Chinese equivalent to Twitter is that pops up every so often. Whenever someone just makes like a neat Photoshop and puts it on social media, and some website grabs it and says this could be the next iPhone with no proof that this is real or was ever intended to be real in the first place. That really grinds my gears. I see a lot of sites doing that, and I don't like that whatsoever. Especially because it usually just ends up like pushing up the profile of people who make those images, and then it sort of bleeds into leaks, and then you're not really sure if this person posted is a leak or not. So it just muddies the waters a lot.
Well, okay, so I know that this is a little bit of a tangent, but
Here, you talk. I'm gonna go stick this dollar bill to my door. I'm listening, bro.
That sounds, I don't know why, but that immediately sounds a little dirty. But anyway,
it's a clean bill.
Oh, well, no, I wasn't thinking of it in that perspective. I was thinking of it more in the like that seems like what you would do if you were ordering like a coronavirus safe stripper or something. Here, I'm just gonna put a dollar bill on my door. Anyway,
contact free stripper.
Yeah, which technically is how they're supposed to be, but whatever. Anyway, wow, this went all kinds of weird quickly. Anyway,
that has to be the title.
No.
You're like, no, Corbin, I'm laying down the law now.
That's one step too far. No, anyway. So one of the things that gets me is you look at like YouTube when people make so-called like fan cuts or sort of like fan-made trailers for movies that maybe haven't come out yet or haven't been announced yet. I can't count how many times I've gone looking for a real trailer, expecting that a movie trailer might exist for a particular thing, and instead I find something that some rando made. You know, they obviously just downloaded whatever movie, ripped out some scenes, cut it together in what they thought would be a cool trailer, and they post it with a title that is intentionally making it look like this is the real trailer. And every time I see this, I do report these people. 100% screw them. They are making YouTube worse. I want them gone. So I do report them. I know some people argue that this is not a nice thing to do. I don't care. This is where I draw a line. And I feel the same thing about the sort of fake leak things like the, hey, we made what we want a phone to be. No, you made a fake leak and you're lying to people about it.
Yeah, I don't have, and usually it's not even like the people making these images that are framing it in a bad light. It's usually it's at least yeah, it could be both. But usually in the cases that I get upset about is when sites like I've just seen this happen all the time where someone will like tweet, let's say an iPhone 14 image, and and it'll be like some stupid Photoshop, and it'll say like iPhone 14 concept, and then some website will run with that and say this is what the iPhone 14 could look like, or like imagine look like, and they'll frame it more as like we like this checks out. Like no, it's a Photoshop. Like it's like the same thing where someone makes or someone supposedly takes a photo of Bigfoot, and we're like, this is what Bigfoot is. Like what? I don't think so.
Yeah, I can remember. Oh, who did this?
I see
there was some
Forbes
site that
do this a lot.
Oh yeah, you're right. Forbes definitely did this. Well, I think about some of the posts I've seen where they take someone's concept drawing and then they write a full article that talks about like former iPhones, what the next iPhone should have or might have or whatever. It does all this theory crafting and talk, and it isn't until like the last sentence that they acknowledge, oh, by the way, this was a, this concept art came from here. And like that is all they say. They basically bury the fact that they are just taking some person's random creation. And yeah, I hate that. Like, it not only should this be in the title, just blatantly in the title saying no, this is concept art, but the fact that they don't even like come clean in the body until the last second, and even then it's usually kind of buried. Like, no, you are actually dishonest. You are lying to people now.
There, I found the perfect example of what I hate.
Oh, goody.
I will put it in the RambleCast Discord because I can't put links in YouTube chat.
Correct.
But it's an article from Gizmo China, which is famously terrible for like 500 different reasons. But it's an article of the first part of the article is about a industry report that the iPhone SE3 will be a 5G phone. Which sure, that's fine. And then they jump to an embedded tweet with with concept images for an iPhone SE3, which again is from like one of these Twitter accounts that just makes Photoshops, and they're pretty like clean about it. Like, this isn't a leak. I'm just making this because I like this. And then the article,
the tweet seems to be above board. Not the best, but it's fine.
Yeah, and then the article goes into like hopping to the concept renders. The iPhone SE3 looks exactly like the iPhone XR, but with a slightly tweaked Why are we talking about this? Why are we stating what the concept indicates about the next phone when it's not doing that? Like like in this paragraph after, it says, notably, it seems to come in multiple colors, and the concept renders give us an idea of what to expect. No, they fucking don't. Fuck off.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of this.
Yeah, you can't do analysis on someone else's random creation, not unless that person has a like inside track, or it, like maybe if just hypothetically, if Apple ever went to this person and got them to do a design at any point in history, okay, then maybe that person has some knowledge that would factor in here. But Majin Buu, as it turns out, and not a designer for Apple.
And this title, first part says Apple iPhone SE3 will be the cheapest 5G iPhone. Okay. Comma, concept renders surfaced.
Yeah. That's straight
what does that mean?
Ridiculous.
That means you're implying that like someone dug these out of like Apple's Dropbox folder. Like, no, this is just someone's made of an image that they wanted to share. So anyway, that's my issue with leak culture, when it divulges into like this really weird like passing off of Photoshop as an indication of what the next phone will be. I really don't like that, and I'm sure it gets views because I keep seeing it happen, and it's gross.
Oh yeah, No, and 1,000%, this is offensive. It is actually straight up offensive. And you know, we're obviously just calling out an article here, but I can't count how many times I've seen YouTube videos that are the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just random YouTubers that no one's ever heard of before. They've got subscriber numbers usually in like the 10,000s for whatever reason, but their videos end up with these really high view counts. Like sometimes I remember seeing one YouTube channel at a certain point. I think they were in the 5-digit subscriber range, but they had somewhere like a 500,000 views or something, which is just wildly out of sorts given the size of their channel. And it was all just bullshit concept art. But their title claimed that this was the next version of, I'm sure it was an iPhone, or maybe it was a Galaxy phone. Either way, like this is just bad. It is offensive. It is wrong. And it's another thing. I have reported a few of those when I've seen them. Fortunately, I haven't seen too many of them myself, but I absolutely report these channels when I see them.
Yeah. So again, like, I don't really like the idea of leaks in technology. I don't have like any negative thoughts about. I see people complaining sometimes that like it ruins the surprise or something. Who cares? like the only ones who like get their feelings hurt are the multinational corporations, and I don't really care if Tim Cook feels bad one day because his iPhone presentation was partially spoiled by some like underpaid worker in Foxconn showing a picture of the box. So,
okay, so I'll say a couple things on that, but really quick, I wanted to point out this Gizmo China article. Actually, I just noticed the last line of the first paragraph literally reads, quote, "Additionally, the concept renders of the smartphone have also been surfaced." That is intentionally lying. Like the other things could all be kind of implied as generic, but this is literally saying like these are the ones that were used. That's how that sentence.
It's using the language. It's using the language you use when you're reporting on an actual reputable leak. Like, this is what I say when I'm talking about something that EV leaks or someone tweeted. Like, this is probably legitimate. You know, it's not a Photoshop that someone posted on Twitter.
Yeah, the language here is very specific. It cannot be misinterpreted. It is saying that this is exactly what the iPhone SE3 looks like, or rather, at least what the intended concept renders are. Yeah. You know, this actually makes me want to just straight up DNS block Gizmo China.
That's a good move. I've DNS blocked a lot of websites, so I don't accidentally give them ad revenue.
Yeah.
Or any view metrics whatsoever.
Well, at a bare minimum, I'm at least content having some ad block going on. But, yeah, anyway, and yeah, Austin, exactly. Like 99% of the Indian tech YouTube channels are just rehashing garbage. So anyway, about the like event surprise quality, I will grant, if I do think there is something to that. I certainly remember watching, I think it was the Nexus 4 reveal. And at that point, like, there had been leaks for the Nexus 4, but they were not good. Like, it was all these really poorly taken photos, and we knew that there was going to be something weird going on with the back of the phone, but we didn't really understand or know what. And yeah, so I remember watching that presentation and being like, wow, this is pretty neat. I was not on the edge of my chair or anything, but I was
Mhm.
sitting there watching a pretty cool presentation and I enjoyed it. Fast forward to these days, I could not care less about most phone announcements. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Pixel announcement a little bit, but more because I know I'm going to order on the same day of the announcement, not because I think that they're going to reveal anything that's going to change my decisions about buying it. So, yeah, I don't think that the reveals are really that big of a deal, but it does take a little of the fun out of the events when you know almost everything that's going to happen. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess sure it's fun when you're going into something blind, but I'm not gonna like complain online that if I'm going to go see a movie and I don't want to know anything about the movie going in, and I see someone like post like something about the plot on Twitter, I might be like mildly annoyed at them, but I'm not going to say like, how dare you post anything about a film online ever.
Yeah.
No.
And you brought up like people's feelings being hurt. I will say I can imagine this being a problem for those people. I'm sure that someone worked really hard on something and they are probably bummed when something doesn't get leaked in the particular way that it should have been shown off. Like, not that this is the best example, but imagine for a second if Mark Lavoie had shown off, or if all the pixel like computational photography things had been shown off in some crappy leak, and he couldn't have gotten up and given his like science drop moment. I'm sure he would have been sad about that. Though he probably isn't that type of guy. I get the impression he doesn't care. But I can imagine someone who put in a lot of work on something caring about things being presented in the wrong way. That being said, I'm sorry to put it this way, but well, you're a blogger. I'm a blogger. I think both of us can summarily say this. You gotta have a thick skin. Like, just grow up and deal with it. It sucks to say, but at a certain point, the internet is going to be awful. Bad things are going to happen. You just kind of have to roll with it. And if you're not into that, go work at a company where no one's ever going to care about what products you come out with, or not care enough to leak it.
I think Daisy disagrees with you. Well, I need to. I don't know if someone else. My pizzas are.
Huh. Weird. Maybe the pizza delivery person's like, I gave you the wrong one.
I mean, there's no one there, so I don't know what she's barking at. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so I'm gonna go eat my pizza, but I'll leave you with the thing that is, I will say one thing I do appreciate about leaks is they can disrupt the kind of carefully planned marketing campaigns that I absolutely despise. Like,
oh, okay.
My one example of this is I fucking hate OnePlus PR because they have
I
got.
knew we were gonna get to this somehow.
Because they have become masters of giving one little detail about an upcoming product every week or so for like 3 months leading up to a product announcement. And they've written the line perfectly where it's just important enough where a decent amount of news websites will cover it, but so unimportant that I really don't like it. Like, it'll be stuff like the next OnePlus phone will be 120 hertz. Back when they only had like 1 or 2 phones that were 120 hertz, and that was enough to get a couple new stories. Like they did this so perfectly, and again, because like they're doing a great job, they're doing their job extremely well, and I despise them for it because it annoys me because I keep seeing, do I really have to talk about this unannounced phone for the 5th time this week? I guess the answer is yes.
Yep.
Like they did this very well leading up to the announcement of the first OnePlus Nord, and I think they got away with that more on there because they hadn't made a budget phone in forever, so people were more desperate for information. So when a leak can like disrupt a couple of those bite-sized announcements, I'm all for it. If someone can spoil like 10 different things about a phone, so I don't have to sit through like 10 posts on the OnePlus forum from whoever's the main hype guy at OnePlus now about like, oh, this will change the world, this slightly higher refresh rate screen. I'm all for it.
I remember when OnePlus started doing this, and I think at the time they were leaking. They were announcing like one spec from the phone I think it was every other day. So literally like 3 times a week they would put something out. And I was in the AP chat room talking with Cameron Summerson, and we basically had the conversation, and he brought up like, I kind of just want to ban covering these guys.
Yeah.
And
I if I was in an editorial position for that time, I would have 100% been like that. Like, no, we'll cover you when you announce the phone. We're not doing that.
Well, and then he and I kept talking about it, and by the end of the conversation, it was literally, yeah, we're actually going to do this. We're banning OnePlus coverage until they finish announcing the specs. At the end of this, we'll, we might add the specs to the article, but we're not going to bump it. We're not going to raise any attention. And at the end of it, sure, we'll raise attention to it. We will cover this in the most clinical way we possibly can. We're not going to give them any hype. We're going to give them less than they wanted. And we went out of our way to contact every other site that we figured mattered, and had the conversation like, do you really want to be part of their marketing in this way? And every single place we talked to, with one exception, was, yeah, let's do this. Let's cut them off. Let's not be part of this stupid thing.
Unionizing against PR campaign.
Yeah.
Seize the means of marketing, Cody.
But leave it to one particular site to break the picket line. One stinking site. Damn you, Android Central. Not even gonna pull punches. Those guys ruined the whole thing.
So I'm gonna go also before I go, and I'm actually going now because my pizza's getting cold. I want to complain about one quick thing. I finally got the prompt on my phone that Google is. I've seen on Twitter a couple of times already. People have got it early, whatever. But the Google Home Mini, Nest Mini advertisement on top of the Google Assistant.
Oh,
fuck right off. Fuck off. Do not put ads.
Yet,
like I wanted to like I want to go back to every article I ever wrote about Samsung being over the top with advertisements and just like embed the image of that in there too. Like everyone's terrible at this now. This is cross the threshold here where this is acceptable. And even though Google is an ad company, but somehow they were like the least terrible at this for the longest time. Like really everything was just, it was in the Google feed and you could turn that off if you wanted. And like I can't really like I've seen them do a couple like place things in like the Google Home app and stuff too. but it was still like a tier below Samsung. I think probably a tier below Apple. Apple's been terrible at this. I don't know if they've put ads in Siri, but I've seen the screenshots of like them being really aggressive with Apple TV signups in the settings app and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. I would say, generally speaking, when it comes to what's on the phone, unless it is like general AdWords garbage, Google has a tendency to be tasteful.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's perfect. Like, they're not going ad-free everywhere, but they typically are tasteful about it. There aren't any egregious, like, force-feeding ads down your throat, typically. This is an example where it stops feeling tasteful. It feels like they just jammed an ad in there for the sake of jamming in an ad. And technically it's an offer, which doesn't really make it better, but I guess it's different. But yeah, I don't support it either. To me, it is just a nuisance. Especially, I want to be able to tell them, no, please don't show me this ad, because I've already got 3 in boxes that are unopened.
Yeah. And there was no close button in that, or ignore. I had to wait. It's now gone away, but like,
yeah. Notably, I never got this, so I haven't seen it myself.
You still might.
I imagine. Yeah.
And again, like, it wasn't even for a free speaker. It was I still had to pay money for it. It was just $10 instead of like the MSRP of $40, which I'm pretty sure it's been $40 for a collective like 7 minutes.
Exactly. Those things went on sale like seconds after they hit store shelves.
So anyway, so I'm gonna go angrily eat pizza now. So
I've succeeded in making you angrier today. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I'll also, for people watching, I'm not here next week, so it's the last you'll see of me. Although hopefully another Tech Tales episode with Cody will go up next week. I'm gonna try to edit that in time and schedule it, but yeah. So okay. All right,
and remind me, we do not record this weekend, correct? It's the following weekend.
No, I set it for the 26th. I might push it forward. It depends.
Okay.
So I'll let you know. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, bye.
Cool. Later. All right. So we'll close up that tab because I doubt he's coming back. Let's see. Austin, offers that aren't 100% free are ads. Yes and no. And yes and no. I would argue that offers that are any kind of offer is an ad. And I would even throw in, regardless of who it comes from. And this is maybe a bit of an angle, but for example, I get emails from Slick Deals telling me about products that I can buy for cheap or sometimes get for free. It is objectively an offer. It is not an offer that is coming from the actual seller or main product maker or anything like that. To me, whether it's free or not, I still think of these as ads, but they are ads that I want to receive. To me, I don't think it really matters whether or not it's selling something or offering something for free, because let's be honest, if you're getting something for free, they're probably still getting something from you, whether it's your email address or I don't know, whatever. They're probably getting something out of it. So in essence, they're still selling something. They're still pushing something. They're still making some sort of profitable quality here. So it's still just advertising. When it comes to offers, the reason that I kind of differentiate between offer versus ad in that one case is because it is an option to get something for cheaper that you, in theory, have a chance of actually wanting, not just your regular ad, like the ad insert in the Sunday paper kind of thing. Anyway, let's see. Diablo said, do not like the Discover feed showing videos and they have ads when I pay for premium. Oh god, I know. This pisses me off too. Or for that matter, well, yeah, okay. When you click through to the video, you get an ad when you should be on YouTube Premium. This is actually something years and years ago. I reported this to Google and ended up somehow talking with a support agent when I reported this. It was a really weird situation. And the support and by the way, this very notably, this actually didn't have anything to do with Google Feed. This is before Google Feed existed, in fact, but it was something else that passed through to YouTube, and I complained about it back then. And when I talked to the support person, their response was an immediate, wow, that we're really sorry. This clearly was not supposed to happen. And then the person, I don't think was able to replicate it, but basically said, I understand what you're saying. I don't know how I would replicate it, but this will get passed on. And whatever it was, it ended up being solved. Because I remember this was something I could definitely replicate, and it was happening to me a lot. But whatever it is, I don't think I do it anymore. I'm trying to remember what path I took. Maybe it wasn't Google Feed. Maybe it was like a Google Now thing. But yeah, whatever the case, if I went through to a video in any form, it always showed me ads, and I got pretty pissed about it. And every time I see an ad on any sort of YouTube video, I automatically just, I want to rake my nails over flesh for that, because it sucks. Let's see. Oddly, in Discover, I don't see videos as much anymore, or at all. Oh, that's weird. I see them all the time. Not every day necessarily. Well, I don't look every day, but not every time I look in Discover, but almost every time I look in Discover, I still see videos popping up. In fact, just out of curiosity, let's see. I really should set up screen sharing just for the hell of it. That way, as I'm looking at my phone. Okay, let's see. I've scrolled down. Oh, yeah, okay. I'd say this is about 4 to 5 pages worth of scrolling, and I found my first YouTube video. And it's for a channel that I subscribe to, so that's okay. But, and as I keep scrolling, so far, no. Oh, here's another. This is, I would say maybe 7 pages worth of scrolls. 6, something like that. So about the same distance. I wonder, probably about the same again, I bet. You're gonna prove me wrong. Yeah, okay. Seems I gotta go further in order to get. Okay, what the hell? Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, okay, it was just the 2. Alright, that's not that many. One of the videos was a comedian who I believe just posted their oh, wait. You know what? I take it back. I skipped over one video here near the bottom. So two comedy things, and one of them is a Photoshop channel that I don't actually follow. Let's see. Diablo. Maybe they're like, he uses the app anyways. Oh, now you see one. Yeah, I don't think I typically get ads when I tap through these. Let's find that one for Flurn again. Should be right about, yeah, here. How to use the color grading tool in Lightroom Classic. Yeah, that goes straight to the video. How about this one? Oh, nope. Just got an ad. Yeah, definitely went to a channel, got an ad immediately. So, yeah, it's doing that through my Discover, and I'm definitely a Prime subscriber. So, damn it, YouTube, fix your crap. Let's see. The Discover algorithm seems to be a little better now compared to a couple months ago. I don't feel like it is. I mean, I don't think it's worse, but I don't think it's... I feel like it's not that much better. A couple months ago, you were getting straight tabloid-style articles. I guess I was too, but here's the thing, like, a lot of what I'm seeing on here is still sort of junk posts. Okay, so, like... Okay. I was about to say this one doesn't make any sense, but I can think of what I've been searching that would totally trigger this one to show up. For reference, it's titled 6 Signs It's Time to Quit Your Job. And it's an article by CNN. Let's see. And I've seen so many garbage articles in just like the last week, and here it is. I'm scrolling through, and it's like every single thing is totally on point. Let's see. Wait, how did I get one from Business Insider? I blocked these guys. Oh, we can fix that. Goodbye, Business Insider. I get a lot of stuff from Game Rant and Screen Rant, even though I do not ever open the sites. I find that a little interesting. Let's see. Yeah, okay. And I typically get a lot of really weird stuff, though, to be fair, I think a lot of it really started when I started searching for movies to do the movie post each week. Because a lot of my searches end up being very, very odd. And a lot of times they do come up with a movie right away, but I can imagine these particular search terms triggering all kinds of bizarre things would show up as a result. I probably should have actually been doing all this from a different account, but I didn't. Or like an incognito window. But I didn't. I was lazy. Let's see. It would suck if the block list is broken. 100% agreed. I'm thinking maybe there's a chance that maybe it lost entries because, or maybe I, for whatever reason, did not actually block Business Insider. Maybe I was leaving it unblocked because I wanted to see the egregiously offensive titles. But I don't think so. I feel like I would have blocked it. And yes, I have zero respect for Business Insider. It's one... Along with Forbes, it is just basically a trash magazine situation. Anyway, talking about Pixel 6. If you go to the Google store and break glass in case of emergency, you can have a Pixel 6 ahead of schedule. Chances are it's just a fake shell and doesn't work, but they do have it in a store. It's there. You can see one for real if you're willing to go to New York and travel to a single store. I would not recommend this because I'm sure no one cares. But with that said, you can grok for yourself exactly how large that insane huge camera bump is going to be. A little bit of me is kind of sad that the guy who took these pictures was like, I need to get everything straight on. I can't possibly go at an off angle so people could see how huge this camera bump is. But hey, whatever. The comments on the Reddit thread, I have to give some credit. They basically called it out exactly right. These colors look very tame. It's not as egregious as I think a lot of people expected it to be. It looks nice. It's a solid choice. I still don't anticipate buying this model, or sorry, this color, because I going to put a case on it anyway, so it might as well be black. But that being said, yeah, it looks good. I wouldn't throw this phone out of my bed. It's cute. Let's see. But please do not place hand on glass, right? Should have also put up a phone to compare the phone size. That would have been good, yeah. Technically, maybe not useful either, because you can't tell how far back in the glass this is. It doesn't look like it's that far away, but if it's far enough back, technically that could kind of throw off your perception of size. Yeah, anyway, cheers to that. One small thought, and I know it's dumb, but I kind of think it would have been a cool move for Google to, instead of saying coming fall 2021, I think it would have been a straight, like, just cool move to put the announcement date there. Let that just be the not so subtle Easter egg. I mean, I guess it's not even a not subtle Easter egg, just put it out there. Make no effort to make it hyped. Just put up a display, have the date right there, and people will come in and see this, and you know the response is going to be a straight up like, wait, did they know that they were leaking the date, or was this an accident? It would just be a very neat thing to, you just look up one day and, oh hey, they're just telling us the release date. Neat, cool, now we know. And it would have been one of those little bits of a leak that is enough to get people excited again. Because after all, leak culture is all about the little tidbits of information. Let's see. Austin, you think the white balance is way off? It is. It definitely is. But I don't think it's off by so much as to be a problem, if that makes sense. Because even though the white balance is surely off by at least a little bit, what stands out to me is that's not going to change the fact that the color tones look like they match well. So even if this is a little more saturated or a little lighter or darker, it wouldn't really change the fact that it matches well with the main back of the phone. Makes it look like rose gold. I have a feeling to some people it's always going to look that way, even once they see it in real life, in clear light. You think the lower glass is supposed to be yellowish? I mean, okay. To be fair, this is something that's only going to make sense to whoever's looking at my screen. Just like it'll makeup box again. I remember the reference to makeup box, but that was for the Google phone thing, wasn't it? Wait, so what is this other link that just got... okay. Not sure I follow, but yeah, it is yellowish. But here's the thing, these colors on the site and the colors in the photo, all of them are going to be generally how do I want to say this? It depends on the display that you're looking at when you see these pictures, how it's calibrated, what kind of look it has. Obviously, these pictures were not taken in the best lighting. You can really tell they're not taken in the best lighting, so because of that, it's also a safe bet that they just don't look correct. Or rather, it's a safe bet they're not correct. So yeah, we'll obviously see more, but like like material used spilled out onto the phone. Nice. Never buy furniture on the internet? In point of fact, I have not bought furniture on the internet, nor do I ever intend to. Hopefully, I will always be able to get furniture. Oh wait, what am I saying? I take that back. This stupid chair right here. Bought this piece of crap off of Amazon. So yep. That happened. This junk mine right here that is uncomfortable as hell, that right now I currently in this moment I'm fantasizing about burning with napalm. Yeah, this came off the internet. Do not buy. Anyway. Carson, thoughts on the leaked Tensor SoC specs? I'm kind of in that same position where I'm not educated enough, or rather I don't follow processors closely enough to have deep opinions on this. I don't know if they strike me as realistic specs. I do kind of subscribe to the notion that it seems a little fishy that they're using the configuration they're using, because it seems like it would probably eat battery life a little too quickly and easily. I can come up with an explanation for why XDA thinks that they're real and the specs might not be, but given the circumstances, it also is likely that they're real. That's not a strong likely. To me, that's a it would take a lot for somebody to really be that committed to lying. But if someone wanted to, the lies that they like everything that they told XDA, those lies are, or those could be lies. It was a very easy thing to lie about. It's just, is that worth the hassle? I tend to think not. So yeah. And at this point, kind of along what I don't know how many times I'm going to say a variation of this phrase, but I don't care that much about the specs. Sorry. I know, but I just don't. I know it's gonna be. I honestly, I expect the phone is gonna perform great no matter what. I don't think they're gonna put out something that's gonna be dropping frames left and right or janky and jittery. That's not a problem. It's not gonna have screen tearing. It's not gonna have like tons of drop frames or like jagged motion. We're not gonna have, I don't know, all of the classic underperforming problems. I think it's gonna perform just well, or just fine. And anything over performing just fine is probably, I don't want to say too much, that would be dumb, but I don't think it's going to be so bad as to be problematic. Yeah, so I don't know. I just, it's hard for me to care about specs. Well, these specs. I don't care about the processor anymore. Not on a flagship. Like, I'm just not interested in picking it apart. Laughing, I just did. My couch arrived today. It's a disaster. It's so bad. Oh, sorry, Austin. That sucks. Let's see. We got all the cameras. Wait, were there camera sensors in that leak? Or was this from an earlier leak? I'm pulling it up. Okay, so scrolling down past that, AV1 decoding, which is nice. Okay, obviously that's not mentioned in this one because camera doesn't even come up in the text search. But yeah, I don't know, I looked through this. I didn't see too much else that jumped out at me. Again, AV1 is nice. That's relevant. Most of what was in here, though, hits me as, I guess, fine. I don't know. There's just not that much of a takeaway from this leak. Let's see. 2x1 seems pretty powerful though, right? Again, I don't have much of a context on the power, but yeah, seems so. Again, we don't know how they'll get used, which is the issue. Like, it's very possible one of them will just be off 100% of the time. Maybe, like, it might only get used when some special scenario pops up and the processing power just needs to be off the charts fast. Doesn't Apple use 2 high efficiency cores and 4 lower end cores? I honestly don't. I have no recollection. The SD888 only uses 1. I guess my question is, what about the cost? Wouldn't packing 2 X1 cores in there cost more than it's worth? Because for power conservation, I see big arguments for not using both processors hardly ever. You can get by with 1. In almost all cases, I'm sure you can get by with 1. So if you can generally get by with 1, why are you putting 2 in there? Unless you've got some big reason for doing it. And if you've got some big reason for doing it, what is it? Why? And is it worth the cost? Like the literal increase in unit cost? Because that extra X1 core, I'm just ballparking, but I figure that's probably costing them at least like $15-20 per unit, maybe more. I don't know, I'm just guessing, but it feels like it cannot be cheap. And yeah, that's licensing and the physical core. So I don't think this is the cheapest, like lowest cost thing. And as such, unless they're really going to get big use out of this chip, I can't see a reason to include it. Sorry, by the way, I am deeply sleep deprived. So, actually, on that note, I think I'm going to call 15-minute warning. As usual, we could go past, but, you know, be ready. Yeah, the question is how much cache on the X1s, hopefully not like Samsung's usual half cache compared to Qualcomm. Yeah, that's certainly possible. Let's see. Oh yeah, I saw the... Sure, we'll bring up this tweet. Because it was, what, in the replies that he mentions the camera sensors. Okay. No, not there. Okay, so yeah, we'll quickly hit each of those. But first, reading the rest of the comments. Hope it lasts 5 years. Hardware is supposed to... Yeah. ARM charges per core. How much more would the phone cost, and was it worth it for real? The chip probably won't go into the 6A. Yeah, I totally agreed with that. Yeah, there's no chance this chip goes into the 6A. Not in this form. I'm pretty confident that this is going to be like the highest end Pixel we've seen in a very long time, and it's going to have a comparable price. And then when they come out with the 6A, I have a funny feeling the 6A is going to be like 2 cameras, whichever 2 are the most popular. Then basically this chip, but probably minus at least one X1 core, maybe minus a low power core too. I don't know, just guessing. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty lightweight counterpart. Let's see, unless they just make it without the X1 cores. They could certainly do that, but that might be cutting power a little too much. Maybe? I'm guessing. Let's see. But also without the 6A, does Google have the volume to make a custom SoC feasible? I think that's an answer we're only going to have in 6 months to a year. Not even because of the 6A, but realistically, how long before, like, I think the question is going to be, how well is a 6 actually going to sell? We don't know this. Google is going to have this big push. They're producing a lot of phones. They're advertising hard. This is going to be Google's big like second try. So whatever they do, I have a feeling that somewhere inside of Google, the only explanation can be that somebody said, let's make this work. Here's a blank check. Obviously not a real blank check, but I think someone inside of Google has made the declaration like, this money is not the object here. Make it succeed. That's the way it sounds. And if that is the case, honestly, I don't think they're going to worry about yield. I don't think they're sitting there concerning themselves with, are we going to make enough? Because they need this chip to work out for this to make sense. And they need this to work out for the chip to make sense. It's kind of a recursive deal. So yeah, I really don't think that they're concerning themselves with scale. Not today. In the future they will. But right now it's worth it because they're making a play to cement pixels into the typical realm. Or sorry, I'm saying that so vaguely, but they want pixels to work out. Let's see. But also with that, the 6.8 is... Oh, yeah. Okay. This has to be expensive as hell for Google. It's so much hype. Rick Osterloh interviews a year later. Sure gonna be interesting. You know, so for this editorial, I was reading back over some old Rick Osterloh interviews. I didn't realize it before, but man, that guy's a fun interview. He's got a little bit of wacky to him, and he does not pull punches. He's willing to say some interesting comments on the record that I think almost anyone else would be a little more protective of. Certainly when you read a Dave Burke, like any of Dave Burke's stuff, he is very cautious. He's careful not to screw up anything. Sorry, I saw this pop up. I had to see. Okay, this headline is just great. Testicle expert Nicki Minaj is claiming to be in Twitter jail. That's why I needed to click. I just needed to see this exact headline. That is beautiful. I'll go back now, but you know, okay, I was gonna say this somewhere else to a different group, but I'm just gonna say it now because I've wanted to say this. Many years ago, back in the late 80s and 90s, a lot of people hated on Madonna. And generally speaking, most of those people were the olds. They were the people who, you know, they clutched their pearls over every little thing she did. And as time has gone by, and as I've gotten older, sometimes I look at things and I think, have I started doing that? Have I possibly slipped into that space where I'm getting bothered by or offended something that the young people like? And when I see Nicki, I have this reaction a lot of the time of just, I kind of want to roll my eyes. I kind of just, you know, I just kind of think, you know, the world doesn't need you. Like, I don't want bad things to happen to you. I just think you never needed to happen. The world would probably have been better if you just kept slipping drugs to dudes in the strip club and stealing money from them. Yeah, you know, we did not need you to become successful. And it's when she says stupid stuff like this with a testicle story, honestly, like, I can tell I have, like, sorry, how do I want to say this? I know that it is not because I'm getting older that my eyes are rolling. It's because she really is just that stupid. I feel okay with the notion that I'm not, like, it is not an age thing or me becoming, you know, closed-minded or any of that stuff. She really is just that. She is a person who probably should not have Twitter available to her. It's for nobody's best interest that she is posting her own stuff or commenting or saying anything at all. And, you know, you'll notice I'm not saying that she should be, I'm not suggesting anyone should shut her up. I'm not suggesting she needs to shut up. I'm just saying it's probably for her best interests if she avoided saying any of this stuff ever. Anyway, let's see. Carson, she's having a breakdown. I didn't get the impression of breakdown, but I'm also not following it this closely. I don't care. I think she's just... I suspect to her, she's just going to ride this thing out happily anyway. She's happy getting attention, even if it's bad attention. Awesome. Dave Burke. Big surprises coming soon. Yeah, yeah. Good old Dave. He really does know how to work the T's. Lots of people are like, the RC of Android 12 seems like garbage, unfortunately, too. Oh, as in like a buggy mess? Yes. Honestly, it is really a buggy mess. Like, not so buggy as to be unusable, but I have noticed some weird stuff. Plus, I hate, vicious hatred for the new clock widgets. I wish they had just left the existing clock widget as it was. The new one, not okay. It looks so... I set up my phone, opened it up to... let's... There we go. To find this. Yeah, it's not going to focus anyway. Aside from the fact that it sort of, in the camera, looks like a mushroom cloud from like a nuke going off. I just hate this. This widget is ugly. And it wouldn't be ugly on all backgrounds, but it's ugly as hell on mine. Because it does not respond correctly to the Material U color scheme. So yeah, I am deeply unhappy with their widget choices. I actually started looking through the Play Store to try to find clock widgets, and realized very quickly, hey, that's a thing. There are plenty of them, but tons of them have complaints about not updating to the proper time. And if that's the case, I don't want them on my screen, because that's going to distract from actually having real, correct information. So yeah, I'm now going without a clock widget because Google screwed up their styling. Not happy. Bring back the HTC Sense widget. I used to love that, but man, I cannot look at it anymore. I spent too long with that one. Diablo. Longevity is hard to achieve. Only a few have mastered it. Yeah, no kidding. When you look at celebrities who've managed to hold on to their I guess A-list, or at least high-ranking B-list status for ages and ages, it's impressive for some of them, especially when you look at what a few of them have gone through. Just consider for a second Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith. That guy, okay, you don't see him anymore. I think he's now finally decided to sort of check out of the public view, but he stayed in it a long time. And we're talking about a guy who used to... I mean, it's not like you put Keith Richards to shame for drug use, but this is a guy who used to be a very hard partier. And for him to not just get his act together, but like come out of it better as a result, like, that's impressive. Very few people can pull it off, and he was working at a disadvantage. Let's see. Carson, am I using Android 12 as a daily driver? No. Well, not exactly. I have it on my Pixel 4 XL, which is not my main phone. My main phone is the Pixel 3, which should be getting retired when the Pixel 6 comes out. Though there's a chance. We'll see. there's a chance. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do, because I am going to be putting the Pixel 6 to a lot heavier workload. I'm going to be using... I'm going to probably not actually want my SIM card in it for a few reasons. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. That's a big we'll see situation. I don't know if I'll maybe move... I don't want to make the Pixel 4 XL my carry phone, but I might. That's tough. Not that it's important, but we have now hit the 15-minute mark, so the world is safe. Anyway, moving on. Hope at a glance gets better, quicker, or live space widget, whatever. Yeah. At a glance needs to... Google needs to fix a lot of that stuff. We need Google to fix a lot of that stuff, because it's all feels like either buggy or poor designs, depending on which things you're looking at. At a glance, speed, the widgets, Material U in general. There's a lot of stuff that feels half broken right now, and I know some of it will get cleaned up with the final release of Android 12, but I don't think enough of it will be. Hey David, how's it going? You're showing up pretty much at the tail end, so not going to be too much longer. We've even had the 15-minute warning that just clocked up from a minute or so ago. The HTC widget was so iconic. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it was the widget. So many copies of that came out. I remember people running that on like every other company's phone because it was just so famous. And yeah, thing is though, I could not do it anymore. Let's see. Can't wait to see those measly trade-in values. Oh, believe me, I know. That, like I said earlier, that's part of the reason I'm looking at an iPhone thinking I kind of want to do a trade-in, because at least I'll get some trade-in value out of my Galaxy, my old Galaxy S7. Well, S7 Edge, because there's no other way I'm going to get any value out of that thing. Let's see. Google needs to go big on trade-in values for once. Maybe no more free photo storage will be an incentive to get rid of those devices. That's an interesting spin. I hadn't thought about it that way. It would be really nice if they'd go big on the trade-ins. It feels like time. The only thing is I don't know. I'm wondering if they can... Well, I'm sure they can afford that, but I'm wondering if they want to. Because that's one area I think Google's would have to put up stakes to make the trade-in values better, and I doubt they want to or care to. I don't know. But man, it would be so good if their trade-in values are actually like solid and very accessible trade-ins, as opposed to what I feel like I kind of expect, which is that like an iPhone 13 is going to have a trade-in value of like $500 or something stupid like that. Let's see. Would be great if they just left it blank, even though they have official renders and the phone in New York City. Huh, okay. Mystery might be good. Just push the name for me to go look for it. Am I missing something? Not really sure what some of this is in relation to. Walk into carrier. What's that? Google phone. Oh, I see. Oh, you mean the Samsung Galaxy? Oh, harsh. Oh, they've got something up in San Francisco. I see. Okay. What the fudge factor? That is that ad supposed to look that bad? This looks like when you print a t-shirt that requires multiple colors in the print, but you only screen like one of the colors so far. Because this just looks not great, but interesting. I'll give it that. It's definitely interesting. Diablo. Hope they would incentivize previous Pixel owners, at least trick them into losing free photo storage. Yeah, so I wouldn't give up my original Pixel in the offhand chance that I eventually get around to having a new battery put in. But 100% my Pixel 2 XL, oh yeah, if a good trade-in value comes up, that thing would be gone. I will trade that in a freaking heartbeat. Truthfully, I would probably trade if the trade-in values are actually legitimately worth it. I don't think I have a Pixel phone that I would specifically save. I'd be willing to trade in the 4XL. Truthfully, I really am not a big fan of that phone. I'd be happy to trade in the 2XL. The 3X, or sorry, the 3 that I have, I would kind of want to keep that above the other two, but not by a lot. I'd be happy to trade in any of these if they actually get good trade-ins. Let's see. They did the first two colors, or only did the first two colors. Yeah, it seems like work in progress. In all likelihood, yes, but I can't say that I've seen them put up paint stencils like that. Maybe they are. But normally when I see stuff like this, it usually goes up as a fully painted wallpaper kind of situation. The 3 is reaching end of life this year. Yeah. Kind of sucks, but inevitable. Let's see. Okay. Nothing else interesting happening in this. Okay. Let's see. Switching back to the cameras really briefly. The rear main camera is the GN1 at 50 megapixel, and that's a Samsung camera. The other two are both Sony sensors. One is a 12 megapixel wide, and the other is a 40 megapixel telephoto. Good sensors and lenses for this, for sure. I'm very curious how it's going to turn out. I'm particularly curious about the telephoto because, well, I've got multiple reasons why I'm interested in the telephoto, but one of the bigger ones, I kind of want to see if it will be one of the first phones that might be like legitimately good for portrait headshots. Because for those that don't know, and I know I've talked about this in the past, but let's see. Hey, this is a pretty good comparison. So this really shows it off pretty well. Well, maybe not the best, but the longer your telephoto is, the more someone's face looks good, the more you're getting, like, the more it sort of shrinks down the features and makes someone look typically a bit younger, typically a little healthier, not like fat or malformed. You see that 24 millimeter at the top left, she looks weird with that. So and then you get to that 135 at the bottom right, and there's not a huge difference between that and really even the 70 millimeter. But yeah, you can just see how much it helps to be kind of telephoto. And so I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but the fact that they're sticking a pretty high megapixel count behind it, I'm betting they also probably have a decent telephoto on that. If that's the case, I'm kind of optimistic. Maybe it'll be really, really a good camera choice. We'll see. Let's see. Interesting choice to use two separate camera brands. Yes, I agree. That is a weird thing to do. I'm not really sure what to make of that. It is an unusual choice, and yeah, you mentioned the color balance. That factors in, but for what it's worth, Sony and Samsung are a lot closer together than, let's say, Sony and Fuji or Sony and Canon. Their sensors are different, and Sony and Samsung are more similar than different. So I could see color balance or some color issues, but if they're tuned correctly, that shouldn't be a big problem. I'm a little more curious about like light input and things like that. And also, if one rear camera is using, or if one rear camera is 50 megapixel and they're using Samsung, and then they've got another rear camera that is only 2 megapixel less, and they went with Sony, like, what is the reason for this? Was Samsung's camera sensor too expensive, so they decided to go with a lower cost Sony? I don't know if this is a lower cost sensor, but I'm inclined to think it's not the main sensor, therefore it probably is lower cost. I don't know. Leaves me wondering. I can see doing something different with the 12 megapixel, but it feels odd to do this with the telephoto. Anyway, Baby Mo confirmed the phone is for Grandpa. Yeah, I know it's a thing. What if it's a mode designed specifically for babies? So what? Jessica Alba can hand it to her kid? Is that the point here? For those that don't know, that's totally a reference to when Jessica Alba was the spokesperson for Windows Phone, and half of her presentation was talking about how she would hand the phone to her kid so the kid could play games or be entertained or something. Or a mode to make your baby cute and not ugly like 99% of babies. Oh, Austin, jeez, going with the hard hit. You're not wrong. Let's see. Samsung will make your custom SoC if you buy these old GN1 sensors that have been filling up our warehouse. I will say I am sad that it wasn't whatever that other 100 megapixel sensor is. But hey, I'm holding out hope that what this really means is that the pixels are larger. Okay, welcome back, Curvy. Your timing is a little rough because I'm definitely checking out in the next couple of minutes. Also want to know the actual focal lengths. We all know Google has exaggerated the telephoto zoom in the past. Yes, that I agree with. I'm very curious what the actual focal lengths are, but I have a funny feeling we're not going to get that until, well, not that funny of a feeling. I'm reasonably confident we're not going to get that until announcement day, because it just seems unlikely that they're going to, whoever has this phone already is going to test that and actually figure out what the true focal lengths are. Let's see. Get some cleep. Call it a show. Get some cleep. Gotta make fun of that. You know it. But yeah. So, well, and plus we're basically to the tail end. I will briefly call out, and I know that this is not super important, but I find it interesting that they have a rear wide camera and a front camera, both of which are 12 megapixel, but they're different models. One of them's an IMX 386, the other one's an IMX 663. That part strikes me as odd. I wonder why they would choose two different sensors with the same megapixel count, unless, I don't know, unless maybe one of them has better low light performance. I don't know. Sleep, damn it. Sleep. Yeah, it's got to be sensor size, but I'm too lazy to look it up. I don't care enough, but let's see. I guess since they're doing a damn it, a punch hole camera, I could imagine maybe they needed to keep the size down for the front-facing camera, so maybe the 663 is a smaller sensor. But for that big, huge rear camera module, they probably have all the space they need, so they stuck in an IMX 386, and I'm assuming a larger sensor. Just an educated guess. I have no... Again, I'm not going to bother looking this up. It's not that important. One over 2.25 versus 1 over 2.29. I'm assuming the 2.29 is the 663, so that would match my theory, unless you're reversing them. So yeah, that makes sense. Though that's a little closer in size than well, no, that isn't. Yeah, that's still pretty tiny. It's tiny either way. It's not like they're saving more than like a fraction, or like fractional millimeters at that point. But hey, every little fraction of a millimeter starts to count in a phone. So, anyway, so I think the call is correct. But I has tacos and quesadillas and a Coke. Yeah, I'm sorry. The timing does kind of suck, but I think the call by Carson is correct. I probably should bail out now. That way I avoid the risk of falling asleep on the air. Not that I would ever do that. Never, ever would do that. But yeah, no, for real. I probably should take off. I can actually start. I feel my voice also starting to slip a little bit. So let's see. For you're saying for the food you got. Okay. I was kind of interpreting that as you wanted the show to continue while you ate, but no, that makes sense. You do typically tell us what you got too. Let's see. So Carson, yes, I was just about to discuss that. Finishing The Last of Us Part 2 this weekend. Let's see. For sanity, a quick check of the weather. Oh my God. Yeah, weather is not going to be a problem this weekend. Let me show you this. That's right, and I've heard about this. So, right there, Saturday, 64 and rainy. I will be inside. There will be no. In fact, at 64 as a high, there's a fair chance I'll even be sitting here playing games with a blanket on top of me. Like, I'll be bundling up and keeping nice and toasty that day. I say this as if 64 bothers me. It really doesn't, but yeah. So that 64 is still kind of even shorts weather-ish, or can be. If you're feeling it, it can still be shorts weather. So yeah, I'll definitely be playing this weekend. Could I stream early? How do you mean? And are you talking about for photo stream? Probably can't stay late. Yeah, hey, give me a time. Maybe I can. Fair chance I can. But yeah, anyway, so definitely going to finish up The Last of Us Part 2. I think fairly safe bet it will be Saturday unless there's a thing. Carson, alternatively, just out of curiosity, just for Last of Us 2 ending, just out of curiosity, would it be better if I say The Last of Us Part 2 ending for Sunday? May as well ask, because I think it'll wrap up in about 3 hours. But just in case, if Sunday's better, let me know. I can just push it back to Sunday and wrap it up that way. And the other day, yes. All right, The Last of Us Part 2 on Sunday. Let's see. And then as far as photo stream, I can't tell you how much I've been trying to get to this earlier. But seeing as I've got the editorial that I need to knock out, and as soon as the editorial's done, I'm probably going to be working on the movie post for the next day or so. In all likelihood, yeah, Saturday would actually be a good day to knock out a photo stream. So I will try to do that, though there's a chance it'll just end up being a game stream. We'll see. I fully acknowledge I can't commit to this, but I will try. Especially since I really need to wrap up the photos on this thing, because the review is even largely written at this stage, and I just need to nail down the photos and finish the review. So yeah, anyway, that pretty much covers the upcoming plans. Let's see, Sunday nights, usually at the laptop already doing work, so it works out better. That makes sense. So yeah. Good deal. Last of Us Part 2 on Sunday. Saturday, probable photo stream, but possible just game stream. I should stream myself writing the movie post. Oh God, I want to say you don't want to see that, but I do get a lot of snarky comments going as I'm working through the movie post. There is a chance maybe someday I will do that just for laughs. But I will tell you, it also won't be super interesting. But then you would also get to see the neat little tool that I made for myself. I literally built this. I built this window that I actually just drag URLs for 3 different movie sites to. I drag the URLs for IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and the moviedatabase.com. I drag the URLs to there. It scrapes information off the sites, fills in drop down boxes so I can pick which ones I prefer the information from, and then I can drag store links to the same app, and it formats the whole thing into JSON format that I can then use in another thing. It's this whole process. I can't imagine it actually being interesting to watch, but you might get a kick out of seeing just like 5 minutes of it. So yeah, probably not really worth streaming. Maybe instead of doing like a YouTube stream, I might just do that in Discord someday. Just to say, hey, if anyone actually wants to see this random little dumb thing that I made, you can watch. Something like that. Because I probably shouldn't show myself actually violating the terms of service for IMDb. I don't think they would appreciate it. Artem needs to watch it. No, he doesn't. Trust me. That guy's all about screen scrapers. No dark mode on web Google search. No, I don't like dark mode on okay, so you found a way to drag this out a few more minutes. I'm okay with dark mode on my phone. I don't like dark mode when it is black mode. I like dark mode when it's like a gray, because I don't like the streaking that's caused by black. Like full 100% black. When it comes to my web browser, I don't like, I don't know what it is. I don't like dark mode in the web browser. It just feels wrong to me. I prefer to just avoid it. Something about the look. I can't explain it. Now, and that's not entirely always true. There are very specific sites that I prefer a dark mode. But they're few and far between. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's very, very, very rare that I want dark mode on websites. It's only really if I'm going to sit there and actually read a single site, like reading a story or reading an article that has no pictures. If there are pictures, and this makes no sense to me, but if there are pictures, I usually want it on a white website, or at least, you know, whatever the sort of standard color choice or color design is for the website. If I'm reading something in a dark mode, I want it all to be dark, with text being the only thing that's light, so that I'm not burning out my retinas in the process. But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of the take. That being said, part of the reason I chose the background that I have is because it's so dark. I know full well, almost anybody watching this, I don't think anyone wants to see this with a big bright white background. Which, yes, kind of, I know it kind of sucks that I'm that I pop up web pages with bright white backgrounds, but yeah, I chose this dark background entirely for the fact that it would inhibit some of that. But anyway, so enough. I am going to go. Thanks to everyone for coming by. Thanks for hanging out, being part of the conversation, chatting with me, keeping me talking, keeping me rambling. As usual, if you'd like to throw anything in the direction of this channel, links down below in description. There's a Patreon and Streamlabs links. One of these days, I will turn on that continuous tipping in Streamlabs. I keep forgetting to log in and do that. Again, come hang out on Saturday and or Sunday for game streams, possible photo stream. We'll see what happens. If not, I'll definitely be back next week. Next week, let's see. Next week, Wednesday, we've got 74. 74 is not that bad. We can work with 74. That's a few degrees cooler than today, in fact, and today has been just fine. So, let's see. Trying to think if there was anything else. And as a final note, the final note that I will close out on, or nearly final note I will close out on, just remember, this is super, super important. John Prosser's report card from this event was terrible. He got like everything wrong. Sorry, I had to. Anyway, with that, good night, everybody.